and welcome to another episode of Don't Trust the Dungeon Master. My name is Alex K, and I am that Dungeon Master. Welcome to episode 40 of Arkelya, Don't Trust the Dungeon Master version of Arkelya, campaign Arkelya. Yeah, I spent enough time.
Arkelya?
Yeah, we are the 4-0 number here. We are sorry we're late. We are having technical difficulties for a lot of people, and we're down one Demi-Yoko, who we waited diligently for, but never showed up. So we're hoping Demi is okay. Other than that, this would be the week of us resuming playing every Friday. So even though we're missing a person every Friday, provided and then
always late every Friday.
And then you can also tune in tomorrow for Galewright Accord and the adventures of Arlani and Co. We have not named our group, so unlike Arkelya, which is Heartseeker, we have not named our group yet. It took you guys like 30 episodes. It'll take us 30 episodes too. Actually, I think we're I think we're episode 31, so actually 30 more from now. Anywho, so any announcements? Anyone have any announcements? Great, let's get to the lucky roll portion. Remember, because you guys are doing the recaps now. Hey! So can I have everyone bring their dice to the middle, please?
Nope.
Yup.
I refuse.
Bring it on in, Al. Come on.
I'm gonna pre-roll my dice.
Okay, got 12, got an 11.
I have prices right at you.
Where's DTW's dice?
Right here.
Oh, you're the blue. Oh, right. Where's Petite's dice then? 9. Okay. That's here. 9, that's currently making DTW the most middling. Where's
what?
Where's Owl's?
Corner, or like not corner, I guess over here.
What'd you get?
Wait, what's
another middling? That means that yes, DTW is the most middling roll.
Wait. 2 12s, right?
Yeah, that means they're above you, and then you're the sandwich.
Statistically, right? With the multiple numbers.
DTW, go! You're wasting time.
Fair enough. All right, well.
And you're good at this.
Alright, last episode on Arkelya. We had some touching moments at the end. A call walked the streets with Thoric, discussing things that were happening within the party, distrusting of our angel companion, and talking about where we came from, the roots. We regrouped with the party who had been in the tavern, either with Aniel, healing her up, or having some dialogue between the two of them, Evelyn and Roderick. From there, we had a nice meal, discussed what we were going to do before we went to sleep, if I recall right. No, we decided where we were going to go sleep. Evelyn, Roderick, and Akal went to Evelyn's estate, where Akal slept on the roof. Evelyn took a lovely bath and then was going to go to sleep. And Roderick did something that we will discuss in a moment. Demi-Yoko stayed with Aniel, and Thoric and Baldric stayed in the inn. Over the night, Roderick communed with his god, which caused a little bit of a hubbub. He said asked some wrong questions, specifically who created Aniel, and his god did not like that one bit. Or sorry, not his god, his patron. We don't know if it's a god. And so he was put into the black cocoon of asking the wrong question, which gave Evelyn quite a fright, and prompted the bell being rung 3 times for an emergency, which caused a bunch of people to appear, including Evelyn's mother, and they stabilized Roderick to the best of their abilities, and the night passed. During the morning, Akal went downstairs and found Evelyn and Roderick. Seeing them in the state that they were, he went and gathered the rest of the party members who were in the inn. We regrouped back at the Zestiria estate, where we thought about what we could do to help Roderick. Thankfully, somebody decided to try Revivify. First time, if I recall. Somebody.
The paladin.
The one person who really theoretically can cast Revivify and
the
heal.
only one who
There's
can cast
there's
it.
another person that can do it in the party.
Huh?
Revivify?
I'm pretty sure. Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe they can't.
In any case.
Anyway.
So, Doma casts Revivify on Roderick.
You're right. Yours is named differently. Right.
We learn through, I'm having a gap moment. Where is the pixie? What's her name? Oh my goodness.
Krista.
Krista informs us.
Baldr called her a variety of names, explaining why you're confused.
Crystal.
Cranthus.
Well, Krista says, well, you see, his soul's like in a million pieces right now. It's kind of scattered to the wind. He's here and not here at the same time. And it was very concerning hearing that. So Doma cast Revivify, which we learned that Roderick was trying to piece himself back together after being scattered to the wind. And he initially, we think, was failing until a red clawed hand shoved him back from the brink, and he was able to recollect himself and speak to his patron, who they had an interesting engagement, and he was sent back. And the party rejoiced, seeing their friend alive and not in a coma again. So all's well that ends well, and from there we had some more dialogue between the party, and I believe that was pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, you guys were. Last I heard is you guys were planning on heading back to what? Geldins?
We're headed back to Anio because we wanted
I was
to
gonna
lay everything on the table.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the inn. Geldins. You were heading back to Geldins.
Yeah.
Geldins, yeah.
We were gonna lay it all out for Anio and be like, okay, it's about time we learn.
Without Doma being present to interfere.
Yeah.
How convenient. Oh, convenient. Was someone didn't give him lactose intolerance poisoning or something like that for the night, right? To get him out of the way. Maybe an old man Baldric with a medicine degree.
The only other thing that the recap didn't capture is that Pyrrhus is going off into the sunset with
yes,
other peoples.
Pyrrhus has found a new book recap of something, realizing that there is things she needs to do, and she can't do them with the party. So she is going her own way and forging her own path, and we are... At least the people that were there to see Pyrrhus off were...
The rest of the party hasn't even been notified yet.
Where's Pyrrhus?
Because there was a little bit... There was some consequences instead.
Yeah, there was some issues.
The pun.
So
I worked hard to get that title. So if you didn't look at the YouTube name of the video of last session was Consequences. So...
Very
No? Dang, I really wanted someone to chop.
No, I did love it.
All right. So, okay, we got it. That is a concise enough. Thank you for the recap. Let's get to tonight's episode then. So you are in the Verdant Rose in front of the Zestira estate. You had just left Niera, who asked her daughter to please attend a ceremony tomorrow, roughly a little bit after noon,
right,
for some kind of spectacle in the harbor port
for a statue.
And so with that in mind, you guys have a mostly an open day. In fact, a little bit over an open day because it's still pretty early in the morning right now. Roderick, you are not exhausted. You might be mentally exhausted, but you're not physically any debuff. So you are back to doing normal rolls again for skill checks. I know, it's been months.
That's a while for
It's been months in our life for you, where you've been perpetually holding on to that for quite some time. Actually, no, you've been holding on to it for years. Actually, now I think about it, because you were exhausted prior to the hiatus. So that character has just been really suffering. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So you are currently in the numerous cul-de-sacs and little blocks and a bunch of other amazing estates of other would-be denizens of Windheim. and you guys migrate your way towards the gate where you have no trouble from any of the guards that are walking. They're in the area. They let you out. You're out in the Aurora district, and then you decide where to go.
Are we going back to Laurel's?
Go.
We'll talk to Anya.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing? Okay, so that was just... It sounds like that usually means I'm about to say something. No?
Just so everybody else knows, Pyrus did come by for a little bit.
Yeah.
She gave us 2 potions and seems she's going to go her own way. She seems to have found something, a book written by somebody that she cared about and wishes to pursue that.
She thought they had died. She said she watched them die, but apparently they're still writing books. So she went off to investigate, I guess. Be the best word?
I see, but she is strong. She will be able to take care of herself and find who it is she's looking for.
Yeah.
Plus, she can maneuver quite well as a bird. That is quite fast.
Yes. She's got some skills and some tricks. That's for sure.
He would have been a very, very high-ranking individual with my people, with that much command over nature.
Hmm.
Really?
Indeed.
That's unfortunate that she's maneuvering to other locations, but there's still plenty of us to fight off the assassins and death spears and other outer entities, right? Oh.
Yeah, I mean...
Are you going to eat that? I didn't have enough waffles. There we go.
Here you go. Yeah, we can have it.
Yes. And say if you forgot, you guys were given little breakfast-to-go bags.
Yeah.
Which Baldric has already eaten all his waffles, and now he's poaching off of a call who had some kind of fish pastry, like a... Let's say...
It's because I'm a cat!
Yeah. You like fish, let's be real. You like fish.
Yeah, that's why he fishes. You're
so
right.
Stereotypical. what a sweeping generalization that is.
Everywhere you go, everyone's going to give you fish. This is how it's going to be.
Outwardly, wow, you think I like fish? Inwardly, yes.
Wow.
But yes, you can have some fish pastry. In fact, you can have it all. I've been eating quite a bit ever since we've got here.
Oh, I didn't know it was fish. Never mind. No,
it'd be good for the bones.
See, I'm the doctor here, and I don't know if that's necessarily the reality of the situation.
But I mean, look at me. I think I'm in pretty good health, and I.
Domo, you happen to have is that scrambled egg burritos? May I partake in a few of them? Why, yes, you can. Perfect! And Doma hands over one of his micro burritos to Baldric, who munches it down. Ignoring Ikal's attempts to have him now eat fish. Alright, with that, you guys have making your halfway through the Aurora district. It's we're like 10 in the morning now, so sun is in the air. Temperature's relatively warm. We're probably upper 50s, so it's like 58, 59. Mostly clear sky. You got a couple little bits of white cloud moving around, but nothing that seems to be an overcast shower or anything that's terrible. And those are all far away, so there's nothing like directly above you. So you just got a beautiful orange sun plopped up there in the sky, and you hear some gulls in the distance from the port, and there's some commotion of kids running around and people doing walks or taking their going out to the shopping districts. You know the direction you're headed is to 2 of the, I guess, 4 main shopping districts that exist. Right, there's 3 in the inner city. There, which of course Evelyn would know. The Orient district is the upper shopping district. But you're gonna have to go right to the Grandview Park, right, which will be near either the Arc Bengala or Pikes Point Plaza. And so as you're making your way to there is foot traffic that is coming with you. Not too much that's going against you. Most of it's kind of going with you in the same direction.
Or towards the inner city?
Well, or
towards the...
I mean, you're kind of in the inner city, yeah, but you're kind of actually like on your way
but it's
out
like
of
we're
it.
like in our little separate kind of caveat or whatever.
Yeah. So, like you guys are basically like right here, right, and you're headed that way. So,
right.
It's kind of like on your way out. So eventually you get out of the Aurora district. Just seeing that there's from this perspective, there's I mean, you saw it once when you were looking down from the high road, right? That you got a nice eagle-eye view of it. But being down below, most of the buildings here are like 2-story, 1 or 2-story tall, right? If you went further northward, which some of you guys see the night before, there's the giant campus, which is just a whole bunch of variety of mostly 1-story buildings, actually. But you were far enough away from that, you never actually really got any view of it from your route jaunt back up towards the Grandview Park. Anywho, you pass by the gates, which are the portcullises are open right now, allowing for free traffic. There's very little hustle or inconvenience involved with leaving, and we would have you guys currently in Pikes Point Plaza, which is kind of more of like a bleached kind of coloring to it, almost like orangish bleach in some of the construction in this area. You see mosaics and things that just kind of have. It's not tropical, but definitely seems to have more of a southern temperate vibe to this little area here. You got fishmongers trying to peddle off fresh fish or supposedly fresh fish. You have pots and weavers and leatherworkers and just a variety of goods that are being hawked at by people. And there is a reasonable crowd. The early morning rush mostly for food is present, but going for food is the incentive to see other things that you might want. And there is a majority of the people here would happen to be of reasonable standing. So, right, this is almost everyone's either middle class or better. There are a couple people that might look a little below middle class, but not you don't really see ruffians. Not here. At least nothing into your current perspective. Making your way through Pikes Point Plaza, you would happen to see that there is a relatively large building, building number 12 on the mark there, that just stands quite out, actually. There's a giant, arrangement of overly robust windows. You imagine this building was at one time kind of like a shopping... like multiple stores crammed into one building, and it looks like all the other shops were bought out, and then the building was retrofitted to be for one big business, and that one big business is now Grander View Clinic. So, which would be you hear some mumbling from your elderly friend in your group. Maybe
Wormsworth.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of obscenities. As you guys skirt past that clinic, you're then entered into the Grandview Park, which is where you would see the green grasses, and there's a hedgerow maze, the artificial pond, the statues of the 3 individuals you guys noticed previously that seem to be made of probably made of Hothoth, so it's also another white stone. No school kids here at the moment being taught anything. And you have your I guess you're going to want to go through the southern bridge again, right? Because you're going to want to go to Gildan's. Yeah. So on the bridge, there's actually lines of carriages coming in and out, actually moving goods from either the inner city to the Laurels, or moving the goods from Laurels to the inner city. And there's already quite a large commotion. You got a couple people that are fishing off the side of the bridge, which is not really kosher, but no one's really stopping them. There's more important things right now. Too many people elsewhere, so they're just letting that happen. You spend another 3 minutes or so to get on the other side of the bridge, as all the traffic takes time and slows you down. And then Geldon's is not terribly far away. There it is, the multi-story hotel arrangement that has the sign kind of popped out of it, Geldon's on it. It's would-be franchise. Maybe this is the only one that exists. Maybe there's others out there in the world. But the moment you guys find yourself slipping inside, you smell the relatively. I would honestly argue it would be like kind of like an potpourri smell in the lobby room. There is no abundance of people waiting to be helped, so there's no line. There are the three in this case, three different people, wait staff at the front to assist with checking in or checking out. But the eatery is full. There are quite a few people that are down in the right-hand side where you guys have eaten your lunch and dinner, I think, before. That is, it looks like it's quite packed, actually, at this point in time. And it's actually quite loud. There's a lot of conversation coming over there. But as you skirt forward, you would go towards the stairwell, probably, right, to the adjacent to the clerks, and you go up to the second floor. You find no difficulty. You pass by one half-elf woman and one human woman who appear to be running around with towels, and looks like they're going to go swimming somewhere. Bathing suits, apparently. Maybe Geldens has a pool at some point somewhere in their facility, but they walk down as you guys go up. You have to kind of give them space to kind of skirt past each other, and you get to the second floor, where you then eventually get to Aniel's room. You knock on the door, and then you open said door, and as you come inside, you see Aniel currently pinned down under some sort of fiendish devil dog that was summoned the day before, this morning. The dog with its like slightly elongated, pointed ears. It's got a bunch of drool that's kind of hanging out of its mouth. It looks very unusual. Like maybe the way it was designed or conjured into existence, maybe didn't really think much about like its what's the term I'm looking for here? It's hygiene, basically. So there just looks like Aniel's been just kind of pinned underneath this thing, and she's like, "Oh hey!" And there's this drool like all over her hand. If you could get this thing off me, that would really...
Poor Anio.
Speaking of... Hey! He made it!
What an entrance!
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
So we're in combat with Danielle right now. She betrayed us.
Yeah,
she's
she actually
kicking her
attacked
ass.
us.
Shut up,
We're
hold
gonna
on.
die.
So let's just make sure. Let's make sure he's there. Are you there, Doma? Demi.
No, not even
Mostly.
here.
Domo!
Is everything okay, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, good to hear. No rush. Glad you're here, man. We did start late. Just so we basically had some other difficulties, so we're about an hour late here. So you really haven't missed much. We just got back to Geldens, and you have just gone into the room, and Aniel is currently pinned under your dog, Vortex, not Vortex, your dog, demon dog version of it, and you see that she's kind of like still pinned underneath the thing. It looks like it's heavier than she can lift at the moment, and she's covered in its drool, and she's basically asking for help.
Oh boy.
It is your dog. You could commend it. Everyone just kind of looks at you.
I'll go over and I'll try to help her get the dog off.
All right, so as you come up to the dog actually perks up, and then as you get close to it, it jumps onto you, Evelyn. So your strength is not good enough. I think you would be just immediately crumbled to the ground. You're a thud as Evelyn falls. The dog is now eagerly licking Evelyn's face.
Okay, I'll be right back.
The freshly cleaned Evelyn. Don't worry, I'll be right back. He turns and walks out of the room.
Oh, good doggy.
Where did this devil dog come from? Stay back, fiend! I'll handle this. Roderick, back me up. You see Baldrick goes and grabs like a stool, and he's trying to poke the dog off of Evelyn.
Wait. Would we be able to recognize that this is Vortex? Just based off of like based off some of the characteristics? Or?
I mean, Domo doesn't seem very concerned about it. He just left, so.
Bye.
Yeah, so I mean, your character's smart enough, right? You're like a 14+ intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would be able to piece it together. This is probably bored. Aniel doesn't like. She wasn't bleeding to death, right? So she was like, help.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't really feel like it's
this
not like a life-threatening situation here.
Is this
Evelyn has had quite a last, 14 hours.
I'll save you, Evelyn! Get off of her!
It's
You
okay.
mangy
It's okay,
dog devil thing! Ah! And he's just like thrusting the chair and trying to like get the dog off of Evelyn.
Baldric is okay. I think Doma summoned him, so just
Summoned it! From the hells! Oh, I knew he was up to no
like
good.
the Steve. So is this could this be Vortex?
There's a vortex. Ah.
Ben.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Ooh.
Oh, got a bunch of
This-
shuffling going on.
Cameron is
Yeah,
like
no,
split
right?
for no reason.
Mine too. And I was like, what in the world has happened?
It's his creation from I see. Well,
Yeah.
you're still getting slobber over her. You mutt. Move. The dog.
Prestidigitation.
You prestidigitation off
Step
of
away.
Evelyn. Evelyn, there's a whiff of air around your face and a current. Your hair gets like shuffled to the side, and some of the saliva gets evaporated off. And the dog then kind of like gets off, and it looks at Baldric. Oh no, you! And then boom, right on top of Baldric.
Oh,
And now
no.
Baldric's getting licked.
Oh boy.
Help! It's eating me! Oh, get off me!
I don't know if you guys noticed, but as soon as Doma came in, my power went out.
Oh, that's what it was.
I don't know what
Yeah,
I figured.
just
I
glitched
knew it was
off.
something.
Tina and
I don't know what
our
curse
cameras
stuff
just
is
glitched.
going on. Anyway, so as
Help-
Baldric
help
is getting
us.
attacked, Ikal has to save his brother in arms as he rushes over and tackles the beast and begins to wrestle with the hellhound on the floor.
You and
Cat versus dog.
Can you make an athletics check?
The age-old question. who will win?
I'll trust you, Laris. Roll my dice.
All right. What's your... You got a 2. You got a 2.
Okay, I'm
Oh,
gonna
damn.
lose this battle. I
So
do it for Baldric.
yeah, so you are the dog is overpowering you at the moment. But
Oh my god.
yeah, it's a mess. Let's just expedite things. After maybe a couple minutes, eventually the dog is peeled off of and not currently, hyperly expressing its affection to any of you at a moment. It's now sitting in a corner. There's drool pretty much probably on every single one of you at some point, and there's probably chain
Precipitation.
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 But like this is just like where the scene would fade to black, and then we'd come back, and everyone just kind of is like has their hair matted to the side, and they're just like, ugh, like not
Boy to helping her.
even Thorik has some dog saliva on him that's being cleaned up after it. So yeah, it was quite a kerfuckle. You are all here in the room with Aniel, and slightly slobbered up.
Where's the thing for the room?
The theme for the room.
The password.
Oh,
Nostalgic.
moderator chat or streaming. We're
as
streaming.
always.
We're streaming. Don't really want to share the password.
Yes, it's N-O.
Shut up. Look at moderator chat, please.
I found it. It was just
Thank
higher than I
goodness.
was looking. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Now,
Happy.
yeah,
Yeah, all
man.
right then.
Way to curse Dagon, by the way. He lost power as soon as you came back. It's not one thing, it's the other. Alright. So, you're all in the room. Finally. An hour and a half late. You're all in the room back with Aniel now. And, what would you all like to do?
All right. So today we're gonna have to have some tough conversations, and Roger will have a seat on the ground. Or wait. Are there chairs? Extra chairs?
This is a room for one person, really. I mean, the bed, I guess, could fit two. So there was like one desk and one chair, and that was what Baldric was using. So there isn't another chair. And he's actually already taken that. And he's sitting down in the chair because he's old. I mean, he's not going to let you guys swindle him out of that. So
You trying to say he pulled that chair real quick, like
After-
immediately, like whoop.
after you guys freed him from the
Apparently
dog,
he did.
and then you continued wrestling with the dog for a bit, he just kind of moved the chair to a corner and then sat down. And he's kind of like wiping himself off with probably a handkerchief or something.
Mm.
So yeah,
Prestidigitation his face and getting.
Yeah, you've done that to everyone at this point.
God.
Yes.
Come on.
But I'm just saying, like, that's the timelines of what like, kind of occurred. So yes, he has acquiesced the chair before you could take it. There really isn't a lot of enough space here for like everyone to sit. Really, I mean, you got it's
Akal sits cross-legged on the floor.
the dead center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Wait. Damn.
So
Doma's back already, right? Doma's back already.
Is Doma there? Let's find out.
Come here, headphones.
Domo!
It's me, Domo.
All right. So you are good to play, Demi.
I am good to play. I am here. I am on my actual computer. I have my character sheet.
Do you have your
Let's go.
Do you have your webcam?
You want me to turn it on? You're gonna have to refix everything.
I am. Yes.
He already has to.
I'm gonna have to
when
fix
Kyle
it when
gets
a Kyle comes back too.
Oh, okay.
I can plug it in.
Great. All right, but
Plug it in.
Oh man.
Yeah,
So I do have to apologize, viewers.
Music
Yeah,
again.
we're obviously very sloppy tonight. We will do better next week, everyone. Right?
on. Don't promise them that.
I couldn't promise
Don't
it.
promise
I
them
couldn't promise
anything.
it, but we'll try to do better. Gosh, we
The
haven't
day
had.
we have a normal stream is the day I quit Arkelya.
Whoa.
Wow, that's
Oh, I didn't realize you.
It'll never
I didn't
happen,
realize you were eager to
therefore, I'm
quit.
here forever.
We're not eager. We're just aware it's never gonna happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not eager to leave. I'm eager to know I'm right.
So after you're working your webcam, we'll can still continue playing. So you guys are here, and Baldric then kind of clears his throat. So I believe we had some conversations we wish to partake with our good
Yeah.
friend here, who would like to lead the charge, as it were.
Danielle, what it comes down to is that, I know you shared with us, we see more of your past, what happened, and I think it'd be only fair if we could share it with everyone else. That way they can hear it from your mouth directly.
I mean, yeah, we were going to, I guess I was going to, do that, wasn't I? Back out, several days ago, right? When we were not back in the city. And then
Yeah.
things kind of rolled away.
Got a little hectic.
Well, where to begin on that?
Why don't we start at the beginning so that everyone can kind of be on the same page?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I guess I'll just start from the very foundation again. I'm not like you. I'm not. Well, I'm not mortal, though I guess that is definitely into question these days. And I made a pact, my sacrament with my benefactor, who is a very powerful thing, and part of the arrangement I made was to not interact with your kind. So obviously that seems contradictory, as here I am in front of all of you. There have been a variety of circumstances that has, exceptions have been made, I suppose, and it's too late to do anything about it now. And I guess, you, and she looks at Baldric, and then over at Ikal, and then finally, and hesitantly looks at Thorak. You three have earned enough trust. Where's Pyrus? She want
She
to be here
decided to go. She decided to go on her own to search out an old friend of hers.
Will she be back later then?
No.
I don't think so, no.
No.
She said
Not-
goodbye and wished us luck.
Yeah. Maybe we'll cross paths with her eventually, but not
Mhm.
now. I can't see that.
Well then, I guess then then you three would be I mean, I call you know some things, so really it's more, I guess, towards Thork and Baldric here. So my hesitance in providing said information is, well, pinned back to this very promise, this oath I swore a very, very long time ago that to me is very important, and there are very real consequences for breaking it. So
You have broken it.
well, I assume that I haven't fully broken it. Otherwise, the consequences would be much more dire.
Well, what about like Laval? Did he not break his pact as well, though?
Yeah, wouldn't murdering your siblings break whatever oath or pact you kind of been created under?
Well, suppose it didn't actually have contact with us mortals.
That's where you'd be wrong, Thoric.
So I guess some of this information has been shared with them already then.
Yeah.
Little snippets.
Okay. I don't know. I don't. I don't know why they. Well, I mean, we know the Volt's still around, so maybe Nadal and Marin have had justice enacted upon them. Or maybe they did what they did at the behest of. So, and maybe I'm the one. And either way, that's the thing I want to start with is I'm not supposed to talk to your kind at all, and I'm not supposed to share secrets or information that your kind hasn't come to on your own. Because anything I share, if you spread it to others, it changes your futures. It changes things. Does that make sense?
I think we understand that. It's more of we don't know how to help you without the information that we need to, I guess, figure that all out.
Well, I pretty much have. I mean, I don't know what else I haven't. I mean, everything that I. Well, okay. I mean, so you're.
If I may interject, I don't know if it was discussed before, but could you not just talk with this benefactor of yours and see if something could be done? Was that ever talked about?
So I think I've hinted at it a long time ago. I think back when Duro was with us still, before your time with the group, the call. Maybe even before Duro. Actually, I think it was back before we went into the mountain, that long ago. I don't feel my benefactor's presence.
How long have you not felt it?
I mean, I was in a different area, so ever since then I've been cut off, which makes sense. But coming,
Do you mean when you were imprisoned? Is
Yes.
that what you mean?
Yes, I was in a.
Did the cutoff happen then, or was it before that?
It's kind of hard to really recall if I went try to go back that far to when I was imprisoned. So, I would like to say that I still felt her back then. I'm pretty sure.
So you not feeling her, does that mean she's out of... What does that mean for your kind?
That is very concerning, is what it means. Because it can mean a lot of things, and I would like to find out, but we have been on a... How should I phrase it? We've been on a cart that just has not stopped moving, and we haven't had the luxury
Absolutely.
to even entertain the idea of frivolous pursuits.
Do you think that you not being able to feel her? I guess I don't know how to ask my question. Is that why Lavolt and your siblings turning on your other siblings, is that why they haven't maybe broken their oath? Because she's not here to, I guess, handle that or deal with that?
That's plausible. If she's currently indisposed, then that's why justice hasn't been met. If it hasn't been met, and if she comes back, then surely divine fury would, for what they've done, right?
Maybe. Do you have a name or more information about your?
If we guess
matron?
the name, can you just wink at us?
You guys, you. In fact, and she looks over at Doma, who has come back into the room after saying, "I'll be back." In fact, Doma actually proposed the same exact thing much earlier on, when our relationship was much more perilous. I mean, you all, I owe you my life, so you've more than earned my trust, but I mean, you can tell that I'm afraid. I don't want...
Didn't I already guess who it was, or was I wrong?
I don't know how do I write the line where I don't break my promise, but you can get the information you want. You might think it's okay for me to nod when you suggest something, but I don't currently think that's...
Anyhow, isn't something like a pact kind of two ways at the end of the day? If one side isn't necessarily fulfilling their obligations and duties, is that pact not null and void?
Oh, do we really need to know? If it's really this dangerous, and this information might not even be any use to us.
And to be fair, if it's so dangerous that Roderick almost died over asking a simple question, then maybe we shouldn't ask her who her matron is, because obviously that didn't end well for Roderick.
But that may put some things into context.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Roderick almost died last night. He was asking... he was asking questions about...
Yeah, I hit one that he probably didn't like.
With whom? Who were you talking with?
Does she not know?
My patron.
Well, I know that you've had your source of power from something beyond.
Yeah.
But I'm not familiar. What are you tied to?
Tell her.
Galerian.
I want to look at her expression.
That sounds familiar.
Insight.
I was gonna say that too.
Go ahead.
Everyone, insight.
I don't need to. I trust her completely.
Roger doesn't need disadvantage. Still gets bad rolls.
I know, I got an 8 total. I'm gonna throw away this dice. That's what's gonna happen.
No. Any moment it's gonna turn around because you never, dummy. House had really bad luck, but eventually got 3 nat 20s in a row.
Yeah, then
you're abandoning it now. You're running. You're losing the diamonds you've been working towards.
I got 3 nat 20s, and not a single one of them was used for anything useful.
I got an 8 in total.
What'd you get, Torek?
13.
Seems like she's genuine.
Of course it does.
That just makes me more suspicious of her.
More suspicious. That's
exactly what.
He knows. Apparently, he knows your matron, Annie.
Yeah, there's got to be some relation because I don't think I would have gotten got her to the end of the universe for something minor.
What's his other names? Something about hoarding knowledge.
She that shrouds.
No,
that's his. That's her. That's the other lady.
That's something
that's
else.
Right.
Let's cross that bridge in a little bit.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm trying to. He's like the one who hoards.
Alarion is he that hoards, or that which hoards. That which hoards.
That was one of the
Can you tell me about this creature? What do you know about it? Maybe that might help me. Because I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue, but...
He exists in the, Wait, hold on.
Let me look at my own notes.
I can't read my handwriting!
You're like, you seriously, like, you brought it really close.
He exists in the far realms, and, alright, I got that done. Basically, whenever I come to, I'm minuscule compared to him. But he seemed, to take the form of almost like a. Would you know what a brain looks like? Thinking about it.
Yeah,
Well, basically, enough of them.
I guess, yeah, like a giant brain, and he says that his purpose is to gather knowledge and such.
Well, that doesn't. I've never seen anything like that. But the name did sound familiar. So maybe it's dormant, since I haven't been previewing such things in such a long time. I guess it's understandable that I would maybe forget some things. Though what you're describing sounds horrific and incredibly dangerous. Are you not concerned about what's at stake for working with such a thing?
No less than, maybe we should be worried about you too.
You can tell Evelyn is visibly worried, by the way.
Well, just to be certain, when you mean by that, because my initial gut reaction was that you are saying that maybe you are misplacing your faith in me, which is earned. Is that what you mean? Or
No, not misplacing faith. It's, I don't know, with experiencing my patron, maybe your matron may not be so benevolent, benevolent as you may think or believe. So I'm just saying that when you think about it.
Fair accusation. If I were to say anything in its defense or not in its defense, it would heavily sway, almost certainly. So I need to hold my tongue. Yeah, something just flashed by.
What the hell was that?
Dude, I'm getting abducted.
You a
Somebody help! Aliens!
Oh, wow.
He's gonna go take. He's actually.
What the hell was that?
I'm just curious now. Oh, he's actually getting up to go check. Ooh.
That was
See, never a normal stream.
creepy.
This is
Creepy.
Gosh, this is just starting to make me feel like, all right, so you guys never back like in the Dan, we had a really, really shoddy episode. Like it took us like an hour and a half to get into character.
Yeah.
I'm getting those vibes
Our worst
here.
episode.
I feel like this is like one of our most unprofessional episodes we've had in a long time. I think that one still is the cake at the moment, but I mean we're moving towards that junction.
I think we're like crash course running right into that.
All right,
Are you alright?
Well, he has to get his
Are you
headset
alive?
on.
Nobody's talking, right?
Good?
Everything okay over there?
Nobody's talking, you right?
All right.
I'm fine. No one's in my yard, I think.
At least you think. Just lock the doors and windows. You're
They
fine.
want you to think.
I don't want to
I'm the only one in the house. It's
bias
fine.
your thinking, so I really shouldn't speak on the matter. So, did you want to ask specific questions, or did you want me to share with them? What do you want?
I think you should really tell your story to them, and then we'll go from there with questions. 'Cause I'm sure there will be questions, and we can save those for the end.
I have a couple of questions. I will wait till the end, like Evelyn has stated.
We're missing our most question-filled person.
The next preface that I would like to interject now is I'm not omnipotent. I don't know all answers, and they are going to be from my perspective. So I might know things incorrectly, and my assumptions are
We get that.
very much possibly flawed. So I felt like in the past, our group has inquired things with absolute facts, and I do not. Well, I just want to invite you to that. I am very likely to have faulty information. Yes, you've earned it, and you guys are invested. So, as long as you two could somehow, I mean, I don't really want to be archaic enough and ask you to promise, but if you would be willing to, it definitely would make me feel more comfortable to not share this information with others, just to keep it with us. Would you all be able to do that? That
Carl would look up and you have shown me that I have no reason to distrust you. So I, Carl, will not share any of this information unless it is otherwise stated that I can.
Huh? Well, I mean, I'm 82 years old. I don't have much more time anyways, my dear. So me blabbing around is relatively pointless. I see that there are far more important things at play, like learning how you do what you do, and of course saving you, and stopping the Zenith Spear from causing mass destruction. So I will tentatively agree to these terms on the same conditions as my friend here, Carl, has said, as long as it's not, as if you give us the authorization, and I will, my lips are sealed.
On pain of death.
What was that?
What? I didn't say anything.
Pain? Do you have pain in your back? Do you need a physical examination, sir?
No, it's fine.
Ah, yes. And then Aniel turns towards you, Thor.
He's contemplating. He'll look up. But suppose it does sound reasonable enough. So yeah, I'll agree to these terms as well.
Well, okay. Before I can continue, is it alright if I clear the air a bit with you, Thorg? Because you said some things that were very concerning to me, and if I share some of the things I know openly, it would be very detrimental to the rest of the group. Is it alright if we try to sort through that?
Yeah, that sounds like the most reasonable course of action here, so let's hear it.
Well, so we were kind of discussing yesterday when we came to the inn, and then I went to my room, and you came in here, and you had a very, I'm not gonna lie, a very intimidating line of inquiry and threatening to me. And that's why I was scared of Thork when we all regrouped yesterday evening. Thork, you mentioned that you know my kind. What do you mean by that exactly? Because when I tried to challenge you on it, you gave very vague responses, and now as I've reviewed the conversation numerous times, I see that there's a possibility that maybe I misread your intent.
Not your kind, as in anyone directly related to you, I hope. Your kind is meant as in outsiders to the plane. Not from the mortal plane, as you've said yourself, not mortal, and so on.
Okay. That's
It's still too big for you?
no. So just to affirm with you, you have not met individuals that have wings coming out of their backs?
Unless I'm wrong, DM. Yeah, no, I have not. Absolutely have not. Well,
Baldric's going to insight that, because Baldric wants to know for certain if Thor can be trusted.
I've seen a handful of harpies, I suppose.
So Baldric rolls like probably around a 14. So, are you telling the truth?
Am I?
Are you Thorak? Are you?
I'm pretty sure I am. I don't know.
Okay, I mean that's the.
Trusting of me, right?
He's really an angel hunter in disguise.
That'd be interesting.
I'm gonna roll just in case. This is,
Oh, yeah.
For hypothetical scenarios,
Yes.
this is a 14 plus a 14.
A flat. Okay, that means he means he beats you actually. So, all right, is your character being genuine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're being honest.
Seems like he's being forthright. Did you happen to have more of those Michael burritos there, Domo? Because I'm still a little hungry.
Still got these little fish cakes.
I don't want fish.
I'm pretty sure if we want anything extra, we can just hop downstairs.
Oh, that would be just interrupting the flow. I guess I'll just sit here and be hungry. That's fine.
Call slides a fish cake over to him, like gently.
I said no.
He leaves it there.
All right. Well, see, that was my concern, is that I have a past with individuals that are like that, and they have wronged me, and you inferred that you did have dealings with them, is my conclusion, which was very concerning, because if you did, then you would be my enemy, is what it would mean.
No.
My enemy.
Does that help justify why I acted the way I did yesterday when you started inquiring that? Does that help?
I suppose. Yeah, let's just go with that.
Okay. Well, that's good then, because that gives me more reason to be trusting your word here then. So, since none of you are going to share with others, unless I say it's okay, then, I was sent... No, I wasn't sent here. I was created amongst 6 others of my kind, and to protect your world. Arkelya, I guess is the name. And when we were created by our benefactor, we were sworn at that point in time to follow the oath, the creed. And there were severe consequences for deviating from that. And so my identity is, my first thoughts were accept these terms or not. I accepted them with the opportunity to exist. If I denied them, I would not exist. I did not have much of a choice. So I and 6 others agreed, and we were tasked with protecting your world. Is there any questions about this at all? Okay. Great.
Right.
Wait.
Never mind.
Wait. What? So, I don't know. I guess it's a lingering thought. So, there's a possible. What happens? What did your benefactor say that? What would happen if you did not accept the creed? You went back on the creed.
So, it never was stated, but rather implied, that it would be extinction. we had a goal, and if we were not going to do the goal, which was a necessity, why would we exist? We would only be a liability. Especially with the amount of blessing that was bestowed to us, it would only be problematic and be exactly counterproductive to why we were created in the first place. Which you three should recognize that, but maybe you all three, maybe not so much. Hopefully that answers your question. Does it answer your question, Roderick?
Yeah, and I don't know. Just recent stuff kind of puts more things into perspective. Like why even bother, creating something and then asking if it wants to, exist or not. Giving it a ultimatum: either exist or you don't, because basically for most things they would want to choose to exist.
Right. That's why it's
So
very
it's a
hard.
lose-lose situation.
It's very hard for us to rationalize something that's beyond us. What seems acceptable to them might not seem acceptable to us. What we see as justice does not mean that's what they see as justice. And oddly, you're the one inquiring this, but this is the same kind of relationship that maybe this is why you're inquiring it. But your benefactor surely operates under an irrational ideology as well. Maybe there's some similarities that you can grasp, but sure, there's things that you cannot grasp with this thing, right? This Elrian.
Yeah, I think that's more why I'm kind of just asking to kind of make sense of it. Don't stop me from this.
Question here. The world existed before you and the 6 others came here. What was it like before you? Do you know?
I was informed as to problems that were arising, as to why we would be created. So why? What was the need? Why were these 7 things? Maybe more of us were created, but they didn't accept, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So the 7 that did agree, including me, what we knew was that your world was in danger. There is a barrier that is created around your sphere of existence to shelter it from very inhospitable spheres of existence. Your kind, I have determined your kind is aware of it. Planes, different planes of existence. They do not connect to each other directly. There is a fabric, a weave in between them to protect the denizens of each respective plane of existence. For example, some planes are incredibly inhospitable to your kind. For example, planes that have no air, no ground to walk upon, nothing but fire. These things exist. And how could you live if that bled into your world and engulfed everything up or swallowed it whole? You couldn't. So thus the, let's say, divine decided that the best thing to do would be to keep them separated. And such the weave exists. And unfortunately, Arkelya is a newer existence, and not as much forthright, I guess, was put into it. Or either way, consequences from something, there were holes in this weave, and denizens from other planes of existence were able to migrate here to yours. And creatures that come from these other planes of existence are quite dangerous to yours. And I need to fix webcams, so...
Yep.
Yeah.
Potato, did you want to...
I'll be back.
Okay, because everyone's going to get shuffled here.
If it starts flickering now, I'm gonna shoot myself.
There you go. Nice.
And then, Ikal, yours is still out of commission for the bit?
Yes, I texted her. It's still in use.
Okay. Alright, let's going to get this kind of repositioned.
Shame.
Sorry, I have to. Okay, so calls this, potatoes this, Roderick's this. Sorry, viewers.
Somebody half-assed Arkelya. You're like, I don't know if I can throw it together. Good enough.
Hi, Kyle.
Oh, that's.
Howdy, Kyle.
What's up, man?
Does someone want to catch a Kyle up with
Hopefully you're good.
That's kind of what's happened today.
So I've kind of sent a semi explanation of this conversation
chat.
starter, but also you have signed an metaphorical NDA to not tell anything that.
You promised Daniel you wouldn't tell him any secrets.
You made me sign a contract when I was not here. That doesn't sound like that contract is very valid then, does it?
Fine.
I don't think so.
On pain of death.
Okay.
I was under the influence of
I'm an old man.
All right, Kyle.
I'm not gonna tell you.
So, Baldric was. Aniel said I would share this information with you all, and I would feel more comfortable if you would promise. I can't force you, but if you would promise to not share this with others, it would make me feel better. Would you be willing to? And she had a lot of doubt when she presented this. And your character's response was, I suppose I have no real choice with there being zenith spears and extraplanar creatures coming.
And king genocides
Also, I did say that you're 82 years old and not much life left into you. So of course, it's not like the risk from you is incredibly high in the first place.
How many more years am I going to be around?
So, does this sound acceptable for Baldric or not? Do you agree? Do you want to amend and redact this agreement? This is your opportunity. I will allow it.
Of course I want to redact it. I'm just kidding. We'll go for it. It's fine.
That's effectively it. So
no one will own
hopefully
me.
that sounded somewhat what like you would answer. I hope. So, okay. Right. We're back into denizens of the other planes could migrate to yours, and
Problem one.
And your kind was a lot more infantile than. Maybe that's a weird way to phrase it. Let's say you were a lot weaker then. You would not have had a chance against such things. They would surely destroy you. They were destroying you. And when you are, let's say, as powerful as the divine, you resolving the problem on your own could cause far more catastrophe than a more minute hand. Hence, a need of smaller hands to resolve a situation that was detrimental to that entity's desires. And thus, the seven of us agreed, and we had a mission, and that mission was to annihilate these threats and to prevent new ones from coming in. And we were not, here's how you were to do it. We were not given a procedure. It was, here are blessings and gifts to you to empower you to do that, and I trust you to make the right decisions and plan accordingly to do it. And we were given very powerful tools to accomplish these tasks. Very powerful tools. So there were 7 of us. Baldric, you seem to be very interested in one of these avenues. My blessing specifically was to mend injuries, to bring things back from the brink, to repair the soul, to fortify it, and the body. And these are very potent abilities.
So, where does one get such blessings? Are they on a shelf someplace in a tome, or are they in some sort of artifact that I must reclaim?
I don't know. I mean, I know one avenue for it, which would be my benefactor. I don't know where there would be
Who
other.
is your benefactor?
I cannot enunciate their name or identity. You are free to make your own conclusions. but I can't provide such things.
It's not Elrienne, is it?
I can't provide such things because if I did, I'm stealing your own potential away from you and biasing you towards a specific route. That is why as I mentioned earlier, and this is really more for a recap for Kyle, I can't. I have to withhold things that I don't want to change your futures. It's part of my original oath.
How much more of a future do I have, though? Spill the beans.
I mean, yeah, I'm kind of feeling kind of stuck too a little bit, but that could change, right?
Believe in your potential, Baldric. You got a lot left in you. If you eat
How
that fish
easy
over
it is
there.
for me to get Alex every time.
Okay. I can't.
You can't blame me for trying.
But-
Another way of thinking, what if he somehow were to prove himself to said benefactor? Would it be theoretical that they would bestow similar blessings to him?
As I mentioned previously, I'm not that entity. I'm not omnipotent. I don't know how it will decide. And just as you feel, Roderick, the irrational connection between you and yours, I feel the same between me and mine. As maybe as powerful as you think I once was, even then this thing is beyond me to impossible degrees. I could not. It's more than possible, but also equally also impossible, I suppose.
I see.
Dude, I was gonna say something for Kyle's benefit that I forgot now because I feel like it'd be a good fundamental for him because it was mentioned earlier. Shoot. Oh well.
Uh-oh.
No, I just like I feel like your inquiry was kind of maybe on a misoperative for a second. I might remember it later. Anyways. Oh wait, yes. This little OOC prior to this conversation, or in the beginning of this conversation, Aniel admitted that there is a disconnect between her and her deity at this moment, or divine, or wherever it is. You guys, I mean, the party's presumption is that it's a divine entity that's empowering her. So she mentioned, I don't feel it around right now. So this was a very early on in this conversation. It was that. So your character is saying, how do
that
I?
prompted us asking about the siblings and how they could still be alive if they betrayed their oath, and she didn't know the answer because of the cutoff of the connection, basically.
So, but it's
right?
good. It's good to know that, like, so she's admitted that my support, it's not there. So even to like your like this blessing conversation, it's like, well, yeah, she could still be there. She also might not. So it's no longer an avenue, possibly.
Were you all given the same oath, or was each of your oaths separate? Would you be aware if an oath was broken?
It's not like I have perfect memory of it, but the way I recall was I was alone and not even a physical form, and I was asked a question, and when the question was asked, it's like I knew all the ramifications of declining. It was either exist and agree, or not exist. That was it.
I don't understand, and how can the three betrayers still be around?
I didn't
Because the
think
higher
they
power
were.
doesn't care.
We
can-
only know
we can
one
right back
is
to that.
one is around at the moment. We've only physically seen one. If that's him, it looked like him. It might not be. He was as powerful.
Well,
as him.
whoever did all the making has gone and fucked up real good, considering the three of them are now working against protecting the weave.
Got a new microphone for Potato?
No.
Oh. Sounds different.
So, I mean, and I'm sure there's going to be many more questions. So we've kind of, I don't want to just, if you have them, feel free. But so yes, we existed. My blessing is to heal, and then the other 6 had blessings of a different variety. I've mentioned the names before, so I wasn't punished for that. So why not share that again? The leader of our troop was Ben-Amir, and he was blessed in all ways, in all gifts, including mine. Maybe he didn't have the same mastery that I had, but he knew how to do it and was capable at it, and incredibly competent at everything that he did. But he was meant to lead us, to be our captain, and was very formidable and deserved all the respect that we gave him. So that was the one in charge, Ben-Amir. There was Tetrina. She was more of a reconnaissance, informant, gatherer, very perceptive, and her blessing was one of incredible silence, being undetectable, not just like audibly, but physically. If she willed it, you could not see her. Even if you were a creature of my divine boon, I could not sense her existence if she willed it. So she was incredibly gifted in such a regard. And then there was Kandrin, and Kandrin was blessed with he was very fortuitous, and he was very resolved, and he took the oath even more potent than I did. In our circle, I felt like I was the second most concerned with following the rules, and he was even more so than me. He could offer support to those around him at will. He could be in the front, in the vanguard, exchanging blows and taking blows. I don't know how else to really describe it.
Well-rounded, kind of
yes,
was able to help in various.
If I was going to, much like Demi is to you guys in your group, he functioned a very similar niche.
Demi?
Sorry, Doma. Oh, my bad. Doma.
Who's this Demi fellow?
Sorry.
He's a demigod, that's what he is.
Doma. Sorry. And then there was, and then there's the final three. Marin, who was blessed with martial skills that were effectively unparalleled. He knew every tool and implement and how to utilize them with incredible finesse, as if they were just extensions of himself. An amazing combatant, but not really skilled with, let's say, spells and the like. We all had fundamentals, right? All of us could do fundamentals regardless, but he pretty much never utilized them. Either it's like as if he scoffed down to them, or he just preferred the blessing that he was given, which is martial power, was what he utilized. His weapon of choice, more often than not, was a very long, I guess it was silver more often than not, spear was his weapon of choice. But he would change it depending on what was needed at the moment, be it arrows that would be rained from afar and blow your opponents to bits, to weapons that would blunt opponents down. Either way, he was gifted with using tools to strike down the enemy. And then there was the next, Nadal, similar and martial combatant, but his weapon was his physical form itself. Much like you, Arkelya, he would strike things down with his fists and his kicks and use his body as a tool. And the two of them had a rivalry of sorts, that each claiming theirs was the more proficient method, or more, let's say, elegant method of craft. But there was numerous foes that, Nadal would just... he could do things that you would think impossible with just his physical body, easily, and very impressive. And then finally would be the one that you three got to see with me, Levolt, who was not blessed with an incredibly fortuitous body, not blessed with other skills of deception, deceit, support of things of nature, but he was blessed with incredible mental acuity. He was gifted with magics that were beyond any of our kin. I don't even know. I feel that he was even out of the realm of what Benamir could potentially muster. Though it's a lot of our major tactical strategies would be derived from Levolt's incredible intellect. Sarath, the more that I've dwelled on this since we fought it, the more I've remembered now how we defeated that thing. Levolt had engineered some sort of arcane pattern that tore the creature apart, and he was able to force it into a physical form, and over a duration of hours of fighting this thing and thousands of its minions, did we break it down into raw physical portions, and eventually we were able to weaken it to the point where it no longer could oppose resistance, and we're able to just finish the deal. So,
you said that was Sarath?
yes, the giant aquatic-like creature that we fought in the mountain that snapped its finger and made gallons, a whole lake apparate out of nowhere. It was Sarath.
Didn't Levolt take a spear from Sarath?
I believe he had some sort of tool when he left us there, but I wasn't really trying to bring up that, more that just reminiscent that as proof.
No.
Levolt is a very cunning, intellectual, brilliant person, and his control and mastery of the arcane is parallel none. There's no one that's, everyone's underneath him effectively. It's almost like he could will anything he wanted if he was given enough time to do it. So those were the 7 of us, and those were the blessings we were given. These were tools to help us protect your world, slay threats that are like Sarath, that your kind can never. And I'll reiterate, you were infantile back then. Even if you all gathered together, there was no hope. I'm surprised to see that this group is far more formidable than I recall your kind being back from then. So maybe you have progressed dramatically. I mean, clearly you have progressed dramatically. Though obviously Sarath was still leagues ahead of us, right? So, but that's the disparity of what my and my colleagues' strength was to where we kind of are now, or where you are now. And those were the kind of threats we dealt with, right? Incredibly dangerous. Not everything was, let's say, country-spanning destruction, but definitely some of them were capable of destroying entire kingdoms if they so willed it.
So, you were sent here to protect us from things from other planes.
I want to challenge that word. Sent is not the right word.
Made.
Yes, sent would mean that we existed beforehand. We did not. We were...
You were created to be a protector of this realm.
Right, so
And you were
it's kind of odd. I don't know if I would really say I am a denizen from another plane. I feel like I'm a denizen of this plane, though my base entity is not like yours. Probably based off of the blessings have aligned me to be a champion to protect or assist or, well...
I can't help but notice what you've been describing is essentially a combat squad. You just went around killing monsters that came from the other side.
Right. We were not given an opportunity to live life and actually experience existence. It was this mission and this mission alone. And so we spent...
What about mending the weave?
That was one of the things that we did do. We would repair these holes, and Levolt was the key benefactor of designing a method to seal it up and prevent new intrusions upon it. But when we started this mission, there were, let's say, thousands of these, and they were more appearing as time went on. It was a very laborious task, and it took us lifetimes of your kin to go through and crush these threats, seal these threats, kill these threats, banish these threats, repair the weave.
Aniel, if you had to guess, how long have you been here on this mission? We'll call it. Do you even know?
Well, time.
Or is time just different for you?
Well, I could say how many cycles of your planet back then. I could give you an approximation, but I was sealed away for such a long time.
Right.
I have no idea. I do remember being awestruck when I was freed from that prison that the area was changed. Things were different, and it makes me feel like thousands of years have gone by. But maybe there have been elemental disbalances and new magics have been discovered to force things to be different, or maybe other calamities occurred while I was locked away that caused these effects to be different. It was quite disorienting, but then again, I mean, being stuck in an endless abyss for presumably thousands of years as well is, well, so,
Oh.
I have so many questions.
The vault was the most important one when it came to repairing it, right?
Well, he's the one that designed the algorithm that the rest of us would help fuel to close and repair. It was his. Benamir checked it and agreed that there was a brilliant use of the arcane, and he also helped fuel these at times. Sometimes Benamir would close and it'd be Levolt. And eventually we were taught similar skills by these individuals to do it. So I don't know if necessarily
Okay,
Exactly
so
that.
Levolt.
Oh, okay. I'll first.
Okay, so Levolt obviously turned against your group and your goals. So I guess my question is, how do you know if he's the main one who created these weaves to close the tears? How do we know that he was actually closing them? Like, can you still sense them? Like, do you know that they are actually closed?
Well, so we actually never got to that timeline, but clearly Thorak is informed about the betrayal. So I don't know if I need to utter what happened at that point, that juncture of the split.
Alright, I know I'm
saying
saying
But to answer your question, I am so weak now that I cannot sense such things. When I was freed, I was so weak and so disoriented that I was not sensing things. But it only made sense because my power was restoring itself over time. At least I think it was restoring itself. It was a very brief... I was chained for so long. So what might seem reasonable to you was a very short period of time for me. So all I can say is now I do not have the capabilities of doing such generous things.
Can you answer me this? Was it to locate these tears? Was it a natural thing that each of you did, or was there a prerequisite, almost like a cast you had to do?
There was requisites. It was not just natural, unless you were in close proximity. You would feel it. You could feel imbalances in the world around you. My kind was I mean, after being like I am now, and how much smaller I feel, you are more attuned with your environment around you, and you can sense as if you had more eyes on your body or more ears. You can hear and feel and perceive more, and if you're close enough to one, you could see it.
Going off of that, is the inverse true? If there is places of where the tear is present, are there also theoretically places of power where the inverse is true? I don't know if maybe
I'm not following your inquiry here. This is
just I'd be just curious. I'm mind. I like yourself. I've only known the area of the caverns of the Madan Mountains, so I've never seen anything like it. But from what I've heard, the city of my people, Kuatarj, was such a great place that is there places of that are just naturally more
Magical?
powerful, magical, more
Like ley
in
lines?
tune.
yes, that's for certain. The I guess we would call them. Yeah, ley lines, I guess is a way you could call it. It's the natural flow of mana, the aftermath of how your plane was created. It helps regulate it and helps it survive. And well, naturally over time, it's going to funnel into routes that are more efficient. Just like anything that has in your world where gravity makes things move in a certain fashion, there are laws that were designed when creation was made that make those fundamentals still happen. And even at the arcane level, there are laws and fundamentals that have to be followed. These rules, I think, are the same rules that some of your kind dive into to allow them access to such sources of power. Like Baldric and Thorak with his spellcasting attempts. These are attempts. These are it's a sign you've somehow uncovered these through presumably hundreds, if not thousands, of years of trial and error to conclude that you can access that through specific patterns.
So what you're getting at, fundamentally, if we were to spend a long enough amount of time researching and attempting, it would be not within the outside of the realm of possibility to manipulate in the life itself, in energy, and to an extent alter outside of our plane.
Well,
outside.
we're closed in, so the weave is such a high level of magic that I mean, I guess it's possible that if
But opening ourselves up to that kind of a
are you
let's
saying
say
if
we
you
break
could,
the barrier down, we would be opening it up for others to come in, right?
Yes,
so it's kind of a
it should be
catch-22.
It should be reasonable for your kind, if you've gained mastery of such things, to be able to create your own holes and to visit other planes of existence.
The
and
other way
Well,
around.
didn't we do that with
it's
With Doma?
so just like they could come to you, of course, if you had the same skills, you could go to them. This is why our charge was very difficult, because even when we made the reinforcements we did, it would only stop up to a certain level. Certain things are just so powerful that they, if they willed it, could always burrow through time space or through such barriers, right? But they'd have to have interest to do such, right? If you're a fish in the water and you just see water around you, you have no reason to go in a direction. If it's just water that way, you have your own prerogatives of things you care about. So we, I guess, hoped that if we closed everything off, well, not we didn't decide to close it off, but if we re-sealed everything up, that your let's say, scent would no longer be sensed out there, and they would lose interest and just focus on their own affairs. If that.
So, closing, like we asked about opening the tears ourselves and going elsewhere. What about closing them? Is that magic? Is it possible for it to be taught to us?
I don't see why not if we could find a tear, but it is incredibly taxing. Despite your skills, I do not think you have the means to do such. Maybe the smallest of tears.
But it is possible for the mortal races to take care of it themselves.
I suppose, why not? I mean, at the same time, what is a mortal race now compared to what a mortal race was back before I was imprisoned is leaps and bounds ahead. So, you've advanced so much, just regardless of how long it takes. So if we gave you infinite number of years to live, or I mean your kind to continue living, I suppose, then yes, why not? Could you, I guess, potentially ascend to a power that could do such things?
Ideally, we don't get destroyed by the things from the other side by then.
Did you explain?
What if
Did you explain why they want to come over to this plane? What's so special about the material plane that draws so much attention from all these other entities?
I did not comment on that. It's only speculation. Every creature has its own drives, own interests. So you rather knowing these other things would be the root of that. They were not all the same types. Certain ones seek just destruction. Others seek to rule with absolute power. Some crave spreading insanity. And then some actually have benevolent wishes to bring utopias and remove disease and such. But that's not what your plane was made for. It was not made to be extensions of these other places, playgrounds for them to be in. And when that decision was made that this was a problem, there was already such an infestation that had to be dealt with. Does that answer your question? I mean, it didn't really, but...
Well, you only know what you know, honestly, so it's not like, you know.
Is your progenitor, are they one of the founders of the material plane? Or are they just a guardian to make sure that it stays its course?
I can't answer such questions.
Wink once for yes and twice for no.
Doma has asked me this in the past. Evelyn has asked me about that today. I cannot provide hints or suggestions. I do not want to take such risks.
I wish I prepared the mind reading spell today.
So, we're all in agreement here that the vault is going to become a problem that needs solving, and at least it seems this way from what we've been told.
Right. Well, never quite
Possibly
stated fully here. His betrayal of me and my siblings, if we could be considered siblings, I don't really know if we would really be siblings.
Close as you could probably think of,
I
yeah.
suppose, right? But the betrayal that occurred was the vault had actually sensed a terror that was far, far away, and he mentioned that it was catastrophic in size, and if anything was going to use such a tear in the space to come to Arkelya, it would be not just world-ending, but planar-ending, right? Your plane's also existence, this is kind of actually junction into Baldric's question, is your plane's existence is actually very beneficial tactically for competition reasons for other planes. So if some of these planes, let's say, wish to take dominion of all planes of existence, well, the material plane, or Arkelya, is positioned in a way that allows theoretical access to those spots. So if you had an endless army and you marched it in Arkelya and take control of Arkelya, it would be a stronghold that would allow you to then invade other spaces much more easily. So there is a centerness that's very valuable tactically here.
And you said only he sensed it, or he sensed it first?
Oh, he sensed it first, but that's not terribly uncommon for the Volt to be the one. I mean, with the blessings he's had, of course he would feel such things more than others. But he said it was very alarming and we needed to go with haste. And this was, of course, almost when we completed the entire resealing of your entire plane, actually, at that point. Almost all substantial threats that we could identify were dealt with at that point. So this was kind of like the last hurrah. And we went there, and this was a ginormous reef. It was very cold. I believe it was south in your southern, well, I guess we're in the northern hemisphere right now, so I think it was in your southern hemisphere. But we spent days closing that rift. It was not like, a minute. It was days of working together in tandem to close it, and then we closed it, and we basically collapsed from fatigue, I suppose. Or, well, all of us looked like we collapsed from fatigue. I was definitely spent after the days of working on it, as were Tachina, Kandrin. Maybe Benamir was still very much capable, but he was sitting with the rest of us. And then that's when the betrayal happened. The Volt killed Tetrina first. She didn't have the time to do anything. She was the first to be removed. Presumably, that would mean that she was the biggest threat, which is odd, but she was the one that was ambushed.
Tetrina? The one that is capable of making herself unseen?
Unseeable.
I suppose that could be very much the risk.
Are you certain she's not betrayed you as well, and they faked it?
You're right. Of course the Volt could have done that. Everything happened so quickly. It's more than possible Simulacrum was subbed in. She could be alive. Though why would she want to betray Kandrin?
Why would any of them?
I mean, yeah,
fair.
It doesn't make sense for any of them to betray any of you, that I can tell. So
Unless
the whole thing is baffling.
What if they found somebody new?
Like
There's
another
Gee.
benefactor?
Yeah,
there's an outside influencer. This is the easiest assumption.
yeah. So maybe
Who
the
would the
name.
Volt have even trusted at that point, though? I mean, all they had known is each other, right? You guys really
Maybe he
hadn't.
didn't trust. Maybe he didn't trust. Everyone else. Maybe
Well,
anything else, but he trusted something that he knew he couldn't trust.
Aniel, did he ever meet with anyone outside of your group?
We were forbidden. We were only allowed to communicate to ourselves. We were not allowed to splurge and go off and do whatever we windy. We had to stay on mission. This is why I mentioned earlier that the information that I have is, my existence is to police and protect, not interfere and change your futures. And if we did not agree to do this to the letter, then the powers that we had could be used actually to do the opposite of what we were supposed to do, right? If the Volt wanted to rule the material plane, it would require divine intervention to stop it, right? Which is the whole reason why it was the whole reason we came to existence. That was not the acceptable solution. That was too far forward to do such a thing. That's why we had to agree to these terms. Yes, Baldric?
Sorry, I was actually out of character. Did we tell Aniel about Lycanthrope?
No, I'm just going to get there.
Not
Yeah.
like a throat.
We're kind of getting there.
Look at Tom.
slowly.
Lacalathip, I think is the name.
Caliphate, that's what it is, yeah.
Double checking.
Okay.
I'm thinking. I think I like
Caliphate, yeah.
she that shrouds more. You know, just because it's
Well,
easier on the
I think we
tongue.
should tell her everything, and we need just to be honest with her.
So I mean,
Yeah.
so Tatrina was the first killed, and then Kandrin immediately tried to kill the Volt. He, with even being Spence, he just immediately rushed at him, but in a blind fury, and was not expecting other betrayal, and he never made it to the Volt, who just. I want to say stood there smugly, like as if egging Kandrin on. It was like so premeditated and thought out. They knew he would react this way, and they knew in cahoots that if Marin stood right where he would, Kandrin would be blind to it. And Marin at the time, I believe, used his glaive, and he just, with a swing, Kandrin's head did not continue forward with him, and he crumbled to the floor. And I was in shock. I couldn't move. And I heard Nadal from behind me, and he didn't. He just was approaching, very solemn, ready to end my existence with the other two. But he didn't make it because Benamir sacrificed himself to save me. And despite Benamir's blessings, it maimed him greatly. He lost his left arm in the exchange, but had enough reserve to continue fighting. And the three that were there, who I believe feigned investing into the barrier while the rest of us invested more to close the barrier, we carried their slack. They held in reserve, pretending to invest into the barrier closing so that there would be a power imbalance, so that their betrayal was guaranteed to succeed. And with Benamir's sacrifice, I'm almost certain the Volt calculated that Benamir would throw himself to protect me. It feels too meticulous to not have been a plan that he could have made. And with all of these things impacted together, Benamir would not win. Or if he could win, the chances were too small and acceptable of a risk for them to do what they did at that point in time. And they then defeated Benamir, but they did not kill him immediately. They dragged him back in front of me, and then they made sure that I saw them kill him in front of me.
Why?
With these tears, were you aware of what the creature on the other side was all the time? And the reason I bring this up is, for the last tear that you were a part of, did you know what was on the other side? Or was there some sort of unknown you did not know? It was a large, plane-ending tear, but could it have been the Volt and them faking that tear from the very beginning to lure you all there? Or was there something else coming through?
Or could he have made it a worse tear? Like maybe it was not a big tear, but he made it bigger?
All of that's possible. It's all possible.
Because in my mind, if Lavolt is as cunning as he is, and if this mending the weave is as strong as you say it is, where other entities cannot come through, being the last tear would mean that they would become gods on this plane when nothing else could interfere. If they were able to dispatch anything that would pose a risk to them being, well, demigods here.
The plane sealing magics we use do not prevent outsiders from coming back in. It prevents weaker outsiders from coming back in. Very powerful outsiders, if desired, could still bore their way through. But closing all the windows to a house prevents the smell of that fresh apple-baked pie going out into the yard to attract flies. So why would they come to your house if they never knew there was a dessert inside it? So the hope is to close it and reinforce it enough to prevent the numerous smaller infractions, and then get the big ones closed so that the scent of your world would not be propagated out into cosmos, and then thus everyone would move off to their own existences.
I'm just not understanding their motivations then. I mean, power is a very common reason for us mortals on this plane to betray one another and stuff like that. And I just don't understand. I'm having a hard time conceptualizing why they would go through all these things and betray the creed they've swore for thousands of years and do all this at the last minute to its completion, flip it around, and then tear it all down. Power just seemed like the obvious thing to me, and now it doesn't seem like that's as possible. If anything could come through and stop them out. I mean, maybe that's why Levolt is working with this other entity now. He wants to get away with it and protect himself.
Was there ever... Yeah, go ahead, Aldrich, continue.
He's working with She That Shrouds, right? Shrouds, hidden, hides. Maybe he's trying to hide from your benefactor.
That's where I was going. So maybe, I don't know, again, just conjecture. So
it doesn't
maybe
explain why they would do it, though.
Think about it. If you're a creation and maybe your purpose is served. Your purpose is served. What point do you have to be there? Maybe it's existential.
But why even go through the thousands of years then? Why?
The creed.
I mean,
and maybe this creed basically Levolt talked with another entity. So She That Shrouds, and this entity was able to make a deal with them and to.
Could it be a bigger picture?
Them.
Like maybe whatever it be that Levolt is working with now, maybe they did something to the benefactor that cut off their communication with the group in order to make it so that they could do what they did. And
that is an interesting thought. You don't even know that your benefactor is around anymore.
Right.
Maybe the link has been severed because of the connections that Levolt is working with this Likelithip. How does she respond? How does her face look like when I mention that name?
Insight roll.
Oh man, here we go. Comes the dice. All right, where am I? Here we are. Huyabra!
Oh boy!
Oh boy!
What is it? Insight. That's a +4. That's a solid 10.
She does not seem to react in any incredibly positive or incredibly negative way. Just like it's more information being presented to her.
What's a call, see? What's a call or wisdom bot, see?
A call is pondering.
Call's not necessarily. I don't know if a call. I don't think a call is necessarily the most insightful of your group, right? I think he's got a decent wisdom mod, but not so much.
He's very insightful. It's just he chooses when he's very specific about what he's really paying attention to.
Okay.
But I mean, would he insight anyone in this current situation? Name drop.
I would just ask her flat out, like, Aniel, have you heard of She That Shrouds or this I can't say it.
That's when you struggle, when you try to make a Cthulhu-esque name. It's a success. They're like, we can't even say this. What is this?
22 insight?
22 insight. So you're specifically the same thing that Kyle did, right? How does she react?
Gauging her reaction to hearing a new name.
Likelithip. There is recognition to it, but nothing that's more so than what you would also proceed with her initial gut reaction to Elrian's name.
Okay, so something's there, but
familiarity, but nothing to the point of like the trauma that she has when if you were mentioned Levolt's name. That Levolt is like she fell to her knees and couldn't just process. Right, that's far more relevant to her.
Right.
So She That Shrouds is an entity that she probably is aware of, at least subconsciously aware of it.
She just can't remember how she knows it, right?
Hey, oh my god.
Alright.
I mean, so the Likelithip, She That Shrouds. The title doesn't sound necessarily familiar, but the odd arrangement of consonants and vowel sounds does ring the bell, much like this Elrian you mentioned. I want to guess that they are both denizens of the same place.
It seems to be that way.
But I
Yes,
don't.
they seem to be from the outer planes.
I would like to suggest here that the information that is given to us to have combat our threats, it's not like we were dumped all knowledge in existence upon our creation. We were given existence and the fundamentals, mostly our blessings, to succeed, and then we had to uncover everything almost on our own. So maybe the titles and names that we gave such things are different than the ones you use.
Or they give them.
So I do recall when we ran into Seraph, that name was for certain familiar to me. As was knowing I combated it, though I was not the one that came up with that name. It was the Volt that actually said that would be what we would designate that threat as.
Okay, so let's go back to your. So you're telling us about how your siblings, for lack of a better word, were taken out by your other siblings. What happened next? What do you remember next?
Right. This would be the part where time gets really awkward. So after Benamir was killed in front of me, I kind of stopped trying. And I think they just dragged me somewhere. I think I was in shock, expecting a similar fate, but just accepting defeat, I suppose. And the next thing I knew, the next thing I really recall was being in the place that you found me all in. Except at the time, it wasn't fully created yet. The Volt was creating it, it felt like, at that point in time still. Some of it done, some of it not. But I remember being strapped to some sort of stone apparatus with very magically enhanced chains that seemed to sap my strength, as well as the realm that was created, this demi-plane, just being almost the antithesis to my existence, just to keep me docile, unable to resist or to fight or something. I don't know why they would keep me. It makes no sense. I'm only a risk. I'm only a liability.
That was another question I had, because chains, table, prison world, Rukan, or whatever that was guarding you, like, this all took planning and forethought and time to craft. And you didn't sense anything off with Lavolt? Or did he do this after? Because it feels like there was premeditation with this, but maybe I'm just misunderstanding.
Most certainly, I've come to the same conclusion that he has clearly was designing these things, these machinations, centuries in advance, is what my conclusion. And because
not you though, because you said he was making the prisons for you at that time. He was creating it then. As a strategist as he was, from one intellect to another, he would have had your prison set to go. No, they intended to kill you in that moment. Something changed in their plans, and then he was improvising a new solution to something. That's what happened, because the Volt is too calculating, from what we understand here, to have waited to let a last minute creation of something, right? This doesn't seem to be in his MO, his modus operandi. It doesn't seem right. He would have had the prison ready to go, to have put you in it as soon as possible, if that's what he needed you to be in or something, right? Does anyone else agree with me on that?
It doesn't.
I agree as well.
It doesn't add up. Some things is not adding up.
Well, what we have to do is we gotta go talk to this Lavolt and get some of these answers. We're not going to be able to figure this all out.
Yeah.
How do we reach this other Lavolt?
Well, I don't suggest having a conversation with him, but
well, we're almost done with everything. At this point, I was.
A sending spell. That's how we should do it.
It's your enemy.
I was sealed away in that state, and initially, there was one of them always present for a period of time. I assume just to make sure that everything worked accordingly. But then eventually they left and left me with a different entity that never communicated with me. I attempted to plead with it, but it never responded back. And
Did they summon it?
That would be Rukon. Did they summon it?
Did they summon the prison
I
guard?
don't think she'll know that though.
I don't think Rukon existed before. So most likely it was a creation of theirs. A loyal creation. Why would they entrust it to something that's so potentially damning? I mean, honestly, I am, even in my prime, I am really not a risk to any of those remaining 3. They would easily be able to deal with me, but maybe I could have besieged my benefactor's aid. Maybe that's what they were afraid of. I don't
They would have
know.
just killed you then. They wouldn't have sealed you away.
That's a good. Why didn't they? I don't
Well,
know.
my guess on
I
that
thought
is
we
they
decided
needed her
they
for
were stealing your
something.
power.
They needed her for something, whether it was taking her power, whether it was end game, something down the line they would need her for. They were keeping her alive for a reason. But I do agree with you, Baldric, that it doesn't make sense that after all the cold calculation of killing everyone else, that they would just randomly allow her to live without a good reasoning behind it.
There's something we're missing here, a very key fundamental piece.
And something else.
It's
and beyond.
Well,
But
But let's stop with the guessing, right? Let's just we won't be able to get the answers now.
Final comments is that I was there for a very long time. It, I think the way you would phrase it, it sucked. That would be appropriate. It was misery to continue living on the edge of death, and not being able to be released to it, and with all the guilt that I had from failing my comrades, from not noticing the downfall of my siblings on the betrayal. I could have stopped them. I could have saved the vault. I could have stopped this.
Daniel, you can't think like that. This is not your fault.
I could have prevented all that suffering, and whatever they have done in my absence, our absence, because it's not just mine, our absence, there has absolutely been untold suffering that has happened to you all, and you are the innocent party. Not me, not my 3 fallen siblings, but you all have greatly suffered because of this failure of me and my cohorts.
Okay, well then, Anna, if you want to beat yourself about it, what are we going to do then? Do you want to just sit here having a pity party, or you want to resolve and fix the problem? Stop spending your energy dwelling on the past, and let's find a solution to make things right. That's a more positive way to channel your energies.
I didn't even know that it was...
Doctor knows best. You cannot argue with me here. You're doing yourself no good. You're doing us no good. If you're really worried about the rest of our world and the peril that we're in, beating yourself up when you're the only link we have to any of this information or any of our you are our savior. All right, you are the only hope we had of even being aware of such a thing. Now we have a chance maybe to stop whatever they're trying to do. So don't beat yourself about it. You are here to help us. And so stop being so sad and help us. Now, enough about that being said, let's think of something here.
Well, I have...
There's nothing to...
I have 2 other
There is
questions.
something to think about. I'm sorry, but what... Okay. Look,
have 2
we
other
don't
questions.
understand all of the... you first, go ahead.
Okay. We met another version of you, Aniel, before we rescued you.
What?
Do you know what could have caused that?
Do you have a twin?
So she was, after Baldric's reprimanding of her, her gaze just stared like right down into like the blankets of the bed, right? This is a very similar expression that Roderick was having yesterday. This morning or whatever, right? When he came back. Yeah, just like right. So like after your comment like that, she
Chastising her.
She seems like she's just super spacing out, right? And then like maybe like 8 seconds after the question, and there just being this like silence, she then kind of blinks and then looks around at you. I'm sorry, what? What did you say?
I'll go sit by her on the bed.
Well, you pretty much have to. There's not tons of space.
There's
Anyway.
not a lot of room
Someone had to be basically there already.
I've been standing by Roderick until now, but I'm gonna go sit by her and I say, Aniel, look, something drew us to find you and rescue you. But do you have any idea or inkling what that might have been? Or, I mean, I guess to me it seems like a link to maybe find other help, or I guess larger help.
Yes. I'm not gonna lie, I think I know. Or rather, I do know.
Think it could help you now?
No, it was me asking for help. Well, not me, but a part of me.
Okay.
Asking for help. Being alone for a very long time, what you promise, no matter how resolute you are in your convictions, after enough suffering, those things fade, and you begin to get desperate, and so I assume I think I know what a version of me. For you see, while imprisoned, I was always looking for a way out, always.
Right.
Eventually, after enough time, I figured my warden would lose his grasp on things and make a mistake. And Rukon did. He made an error, a grievous error, that led to his downfall. You see, I knew that he was effectively constantly monitoring how much mana I had capable to me. And I took great lengths at some point in my tenure there to start holding on to just the barest amount of my strength I could, just the smallest amounts, and I would wait patiently holding that for a very, very long time, and then I would add a little bit more, somehow preventing the world trying to rip it away. I would hold on to it with the sheer willpower, and I did this patiently long enough that I was able to shoot off just a small bit of myself out. Just a small bit.
But it was disconnected from you and had its own agency, and then it like a shadow.
Well, it wasn't me. It was just a plea. Right. It was, I suppose, part of me. So yes, this might have been what you ran into. My hope was it would find a way to release me. I don't know what it did or how it proceeded or what form it would take, but I do know I tried that. But it didn't resolve anytime soon. That was centuries, probably thousands, maybe millennia ago when I tried such the thing, and I gave up hope on that actually after maybe probably presumably a few days with no solution. I figured it must have been eaten, consumed, something else preyed upon it. It was very weak.
So you were pretty shocked to see us.
It was a pigeon.
I
show up.
Did not.
It was a dove, actually. Dove. Wow. Yeah.
Sorry, birds are still weird to me. They.
Were we able to get back to this prison so we can do some investigative, arcane discovery? We can get some clues about what was happening. So is it possible to go back?
I'm pretty sure Rukon collapsed it. Didn't he?
It literally blew up.
Yeah, like blew up or something, I think.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was a different plane. The whole pocket plane exploded. What? How did you get to the plane? How did we get there?
A necklace,
I still have
Necklace.
that.
right?
What? Let me see. Oh no, it's over.
Pull out the necklace.
Detect
with the
magic.
crackles down.
th-
We've kind of gone through this already, but you're free to look at it.
so he
Ah,
pulls,
let me do it.
he pulls out, and if I recall, God, this is
It's
pre-stream.
a long time ago.
This
What the
is
description of the necklace I have?
three
That's
years
right.
ago. It's a
Yeah,
really long
pre-stream.
time. So
I want details, Lars.
I think it's gold, right? I think it was a gold necklace, and
I believe that.
it had a reasonable crown, but it wasn't very like ornate. It was more functional rather than anything else, right? But the crown absolutely had the means to support a relatively large-sized purple gem, is what it had initially had.
Goddamn Agnir.
And you guys found the gem and fixed the necklace. You found the chain, and then you used the chain to find the tree, and then the tree where the gem was residing, and then you combined the gem into the necklace. But unfortunately, the gem portion was either annihilated in the scuffle with Rakan in the aftermath, or the massive landslide. You guys had lost a massive amount of the necklace at this point has no magic lingering on it. There are abrasions and scrapes, presumably from the rock. I mean, you could probably, we'll just say, like, you probably mentioned this to Baldric, that there was like an avalanche, and so there appears to have been a large amount of blunt and trauma done to the metal on this. It's still mostly intact, the chain, but clearly it has gone through, basically like a washing machine, right? It's scraped up pretty badly.
We mended it, but only
And
so well.
A magic enchanted item would not have suffered such incursions, but it's still mostly intact despite that. But the gem, there's only like 3 pieces of it like left, I think, and it's very like you're missing so
We
much.
mended the gem.
No, most of it was lost in the landslide, like just under all the rubble. That like if it got like crushed and exploded, it would flying out all over the place and fall in between all the rocks and unacquirable. So you have like 3 pieces of it that you could kind of like 3-dimensionally try to like place, but there's just so many holes that's like pointless, basically. Is what it feels like. It feels like an impossible task, is what it would feel like.
Well, this is a
Don't
dead
we
end.
have more Agnir?
Recall if we grabbed Agnir before we left or not.
What the heck is Agnir?
I'm looking through my stuff and I can't seem to find any.
It's a gem that
Well,
it messes with magic, right?
it's more appropriate to call it more like a stone.
Yeah, it's like a stone. Yeah.
It has a higher affinity. I remember a dwarf explaining it to me one time. It is able to hold arcane energies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not. There's experimentation being done on it even to this day about what capabilities it has, but it is.
They were making golems, I think, in Medan, if I don't.
Oh,
if I
so
recall
some sort
correctly.
of arcane energy store that interacts with the arcane. Okay, and that's where does this resource come from? You said
From
we.
Medan. It's from the mountains.
And this necklace is made of this material, or
No, this was different. This was a different material.
oh.
The gem
Thanks,
was a different. It was
Toma, that
purple.
didn't really help us. Okay. Okay, so no, we can't repair it, even if we did get Agnir. Okay. Well, raspberries, and he puts the necklace back down. All right, that's a dead end.
Something
Okay.
I don't think we've said. Based on what you've seen, Aniel, and the way the world is now, what would you do? What with the knowledge you have of the past, can you say to help us in our current situation?
Well, this is a question I asked myself the night of my freedom, and my conclusion was, at the time, was to resume my mission, which really at the time was hide somewhere and regain my strength. And I tried to leave, but she stopped me. She gestures to Evelyn. She effectively made me promise that I'd have to stay. Even with that, there was so much doubt. I attempted to leave a few more times, but she always stopped me. Every single time. And,
I lean to Thorak. Eleanor!
and,
The goddess of fate!
and part of me wanted to stay, actually. It was so nice being with creatures that weren't hurting me, that were talking to me, that were receptive to my existence. It just was so different. And
Do you regret staying now?
no, I can't. I can say with certainty that you have all brought me such happiness that I don't think I really ever had experienced before. If I knew that I could have this with I don't think I could have conducted my mission.
That's probably why you were told to not talk to mortals.
So, feeling such luxuries, I fear my subconscious was looking for a reason to stay longer and longer. And I was justifying that, I needed to be here because I needed to repay you back. But in the end, I just want to be with you all, is what it is. As long as that's selfish. But
What's she looking at right now?
at the blankets, she's looking down. She's looking.
Okay.
She's looking like she's guilty, is what she looks like. She's. It's not at anyone specifically. So that's. Fuck! I forgot. Damn it! That you.
Sorry.
It's okay to be selfish, Aniel.
I forget what your question even was now. I forget why she even was saying
Did
this.
she regret staying? Is what I asked.
Oh, right. Well, so no, I don't regret. I don't regret what I did when I sacrificed. You are all more important to me than whatever future or potential I have left.
Oh, did she tell us about
Speaking of that, that was my final question. Honestly, was about the lake and what happened.
But I don't know if that final question's rather. Clearly, I think there's going to be more.
Final in the moment for me, I guess. But
Okay,
I just
no, wait.
was hoping for more information.
I've been asking about the lake for quite a while now. All right, and I want some answers.
But before we get to the lake,
No more delays.
I've
had enough of it. I'm 82 years old. I don't have all the time in the world.
Maybe it would behoove us to teach you how we came to such situation. I feel the context is important, right?
No. You're going to tell me what happened to the lake. Are you promising that?
Well, you mean the lead up to what?
No, I want to know what happened at the lake.
Yes, I mean the lead up to. So it's just, I mean, they freed me, and then I was going to leave, but I stayed with my moment of weakness that's now blossomed into this, and clearly has presented numerous problems for you. I shouldn't have indebted you to such. My debt should not have been passed on to you. I'm sorry for that. But we, well, you guys can share the rest with Baldric and Thorak and Akal, I suppose, about.
But you're going to tell us about the lake, yes? Promises?
Well, I have a honestly terrible memory of what happened before, but I know that had we been through Medan at that point? We were in the mines, right?
So maybe, I mean, 'cause I don't even really recall. I mean, like, I guess I can't, you did tell me, but like, so you found this copy of me, you said, and how did you get to to me? Maybe I could try to help puzzle some of this out.
Wait, because it was. So side note, out of character, Fake Aniel was the one that resurrected Roderick, right?
Yeah.
You should probably tell her that part.
Other times he fucking died.
Well, okay, so
Yeah, he already admitted dying like 3 times to us earlier,
So-
like at the tavern or something like that, because Baldric was like, 3!
I honestly can't recall how we met the other version of you, but it was at a time when we needed help. We needed a healer. Roderick had died in a explosion.
So Roderick and Doma don't recall either how they met Aniel?
Yeah,
I
we
don't
do. It was the
remember.
middle of the night, and we heard some fluttering in the trees, and we
It was the
caught
dove. We caught it.
We caught the
I caught it.
dove. Literally just caught it, like snatched it out of the fucking air. Yeah,
Man,
if I remember right.
I think that's right. I don't.
you guys have always had a Catman with you then.
And then
No
I'm
way.
pretty sure we
No.
did something with the necklace that she
Hero
had
Catman.
on her.
I'll just say I do know. I
She
recall.
was
I know
wearing the
this, but
necklace.
I'm
Yeah,
not gonna.
I'm pretty sure she was wearing the necklace, and that's how we were able to kind of start piecing things
Yeah.
together.
I'm
Was
not
the
just going
dove?
to. I'm not gonna correct you because I told you before the session. I'm lamenting that I kind of correct you guys too much. So I'm gonna allow you, if you don't recall it perfectly, I'm gonna allow you to misremember. So hopefully,
They've only been around for 2 or 3 months, and it's been 3 years for us IRL. So a little help, DM.
I remember. I've been
A
there.
little too long to
History.
remember some specifics.
Kyle's,
Oh man.
Kyle in disbelief. No, come on. Don't make me put the.
At least give him a history check or something. Get the dice aside.
That's how we met original Aniel.
It is
We
close. They're close.
Took
I'm
the
just-
necklace and
Alright.
Daniel popped out.
Yeah.
We dispelled magic on the pigeon? I can't remember.
Does someone want to do the one history check to see if their character remembers?
Me.
Not Doma. Roderick, you're relatively smart, no?
You wouldn't be around for that.
Yes, you were.
You were
No,
dead.
you're right. You were dead.
Yeah.
It's just Evelyn that can do it.
And Doma could. I guess so. You two.
I
I'll allow
can
both
try,
of you
but
to
you
roll.
only gave us once. Okay, both got one. Alright,
Yeah,
I'll
you
do
did.
Yeah,
it.
because basically yours is negligible. That's why Doma. That's why he's doing it.
What the hell is my history? I rolled a 17, so that's nice.
Plus one.
Plus one,
one.
18.
18.
25.
Jeez. All right. Yeah. You
Yes!
both remember it. All right. So.
Cue the bison clip. Yes, yes.
Bison.
Oh, the Street
M.
Fighter.
Bison.
M Bison. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That. All right. That meme. Okay. So you're not terribly off, honestly. It's just that. All right. So Roderick died. You haven't explained how he died, right? So you could. You
A
guys,
giant necrotic
You
explosion.
could.
Well,
you could. So, but this
It
like
was
the
someone
preface
interacting
is.
with a Codal.
So you guys,
I remember
they were.
Daniel was
So
trying
So
to
this is
steal the necklace.
we're gonna say
from
that
us.
We're gonna say this is from like Evelyn and Doma kind of chanting together, right? So here's what happened. So they're kind of like bouncing off each other, retelling the story to the rest of you. So think of this in their voices, okay? Maybe a little bit of condescending from one of them to the other, and then Doma going, "Hey, get off my back, Evelyn!" Right? So, anywho, so Fortel fell to an orc attack, a surprise orc attack, and they ran north. Right? Evelyn's this VIP, and they're trying to protect her, and they're going to follow their mission. They ran north, and they escaped what would be orc pursuers. They were afraid the orcs were going to catch up to them, and they knew that they were sending troops after them because they, from a distance, saw like a group assembling. So then they ran as far as they could before they became just too exhausted and camped at a tree. They managed to get through the night without being discovered. They resumed the next day, and then as they moved forward, they had run into they got ambushed by a winged serpent that started attacking them. And the creature was recognized by, I think, Roderick at the time. Or maybe Oric, one of the two.
It was Oric.
Okay, it was Oric. So Oric recognized what the creature was, it was a
Because Oric
Codal.
walked up to it.
It was a Codal, and the creature has a sentience. It's not just a wild winged beast. It was a sentient creature that could speak and has a mission. And its mission is to do something, usually to protect areas or sanctified groves or artifacts. And the creature entered in a dialogue, and I'm not going to really go into what the dialogue was about, but the dialogue, words were exchanged, and the creature seemed to have Orc said, "Hey, well, we're here to help," and it's like, "Oh, you're after the confrontation with it, you guys were beating it pretty badly, and Orc stopped you guys from killing it, with killing the creature to exchange words with it, which then de-escalate the fight. And then in this conversation, eventually Orc must have roused its anger again because it basically said, "I challenge you," specifically Orc, right? I challenge you then to take this place, to take this burden. And Orc said, "Sure, yeah, I'm here to help." And then, unbeknownst to Orc, it was a duel to the death, and the creature's remaining energy was a one-on-one fight that no one else could interfere with, where Orc had to fight this Kotal and kill it on his own. And Orc grabbed by it, dragged in the air, and he was losing in spectacular fashion. And then he just went for a Hail Mary victory pose, where he tried to palm strike a crossbow bolt that was halfway lodged into the creature's chest, where presumably its heart was, but didn't get all the way through in the first scuffle. And he actually not 20'd, slammed the arrow, the bolt into the creature's heart, instantly killing it, actually. Or not instantly, but finishing the remaining hit points, and the creature basically demised. Of which, after this confrontation, Roderick was beat up a little bit more prior to like in the original Kotal fight, and he was just kind of resting, watching Orc get manhandled by this thing. And Roderick's just kind of just resting, and everyone kind of just like breaks camp because, hey, Orc survived. He won the challenge. Now what? And then as you guys kind of regathered yourselves, Orc saw a sparkling object in a tree. And he climbed up the tree, and he touched the object. It was some golden necklace, the same golden necklace that Doma just showed Baldric right now. And this golden necklace, when touched by Orc, sent out a huge necrotic explosion. About a 30-foot diameter wave of darkness just bloomed out and hit everything nearby. And this killed Roderick and killed his familiar Krista. Everyone else got hurt, but managed to survive. And in the aftermath of this giant necrotic explosion, and pulling the pieces of trying to resuscitate Roderick and failing, they made a small grave for Krista. They buried her. They decided that we're gonna hold on to Roderick for now because he has a family. So they put his dead body into Oric's bag of holding, and then continued.
Cover him in like special Kotal dirt.
We did something. They
planned to continue moving forward. Oric, being a knowledgeable alchemist and seeing an opportunity of a creature of divine origin, celestial, has high regenerative powers. So maybe there was something that they could do with the Kotal's remain. When the Kotal died, it just became soil, which is odd. It's not normal for a celestial creature for this to happen to it. And Aniel would chime in about this right now. That's not normal for this to have occurred. So this is obviously a weird anomaly for this to happen. But the creature became just earth after it died. And Oric hypothesized that this dirt had some of its lingering beneficial restoration powers. Maybe enough that he could alchemically find a way to revive Roderick or something. So that he scooped up a lot of it and then threw Roderick in the bag, and then you guys continued traveling, and then you broke camp because you're still being theoretically hunted by orcs. You can't just sitting here forever crying about the loss of Roderick. And then in the middle of the night, when you guys were sleeping, during one of your watches, one of you, I don't remember who, one of you, I think it's Haname. It's Haname. Haname saw a bird like descend from the treetops in the middle of the night and try to dig through someone's belongings. And it turns out the belongings it was trying to dig through were the bag that had the necklace in it. I don't remember whose bag it was, but someone had the necklace in it. And this bird was trying to get the necklace back, or not get the back, but to get the necklace. And Haname mage hand and snatched the bird mid-air. The bird tried to fly away, but Haname got it with the mage hand and basically like pinned it. And all the commotion of the bird being like, "Wah!" freaking out, it woke everyone else up. And then they were trying to inquire to it. The bird didn't have sentience that shouldn't have. And that turns out when they made light, it's a white dove. And then Haname used speak with beasts and was able to communicate with it. And the creature basically said, "I want the necklace. Give me the necklace, please." And then they're like, "Okay, sure." Haname, for some reason, was really trusting of this bird. And Haname put the necklace onto the bird, which then turned it it transformed in a brilliant flash of white light into what would be now assumed to be the copy clone Aniel, who then begged you all to help her with a mission that she was sent on. And I want to say take it from here, but I feel like you're gonna.
I think it was like we'll help you if you help us with Roderick. Wasn't that kind of how it?
So because you're 25, I can go deeper and still justify this. So Evelyn, you remember with much more clarity that in this moment of this like entity existing, it was begging you. It said, "I was sent here by greater powers to defeat a great evil that exists between multiple planes in nearby. And this great evil is corrupting the landscape around you and it's causing untold destruction in this area and potentially is a world-ending, if not at minimum, a kingdom-ending threat. And so I'm a divine power. My mission was to stop this thing. Unfortunately, when I came, I tried to defeat it on my own and failed, and it imprisoned me into that dove form. And I've been desperate for a way to get back to my normal form to try to beat this thing again, because my mission's still important to me. I need to defeat this. However, obviously, I couldn't beat it my first time. I'm too weak. But if you help me, surely we have a chance to beat this thing. Are you willing to do it? And you guys said, nah, we got our own problems. They were very dismissive. So then she made a deal with you. I sense that there is some kind of grief with you. If I give you something, would you be willing to help in exchange? And that's when Roderick's demise was announced, and I can try to bring him back. And then you agreed that if she attempted to revive Roderick, regardless if it succeed or not, you guys would commit and try to help her with this threat. And this threat being Rukan is what she was saying. She told you its name, Rukan. And so you agreed. You guys helped it perform a ritual to try to bring Roderick's soul back, and it succeeded. So you all participated in this weird arrangement that none of you have ever witnessed before, but a revival with this weird winged woman, and it seemed to have greatly weakened her after she did it. She was like almost on the verge of collapsing, but Roderick was back, and then you guys were like, and she's with urgency. She said, "We don't have time to waste. We need to get moving." And so you guys continue moving forward towards this supposed destination where Rukan was hiding. And so you, with increasingly amounts of urgency from her, she kept trying to drag you guys at a very breakneck pace towards a destination. And eventually, you guys found an abandoned. You started running into large amounts of corruption in the wildlife. She told you that this is malignant cancer that's existing from Rukan. It's not even trying to destroy your world. It's just existing. It does this to your world. So these things, these mutations, this plant life, this blight, these creatures that should be dead, they're still alive. All this stuff is because it just exists halfway in your world. What would happen if it fully stepped into your world? And if it did, absolute doom and destruction for all of you, right? So trying to convince you to keep rallying for the cause, you eventually found an abandoned village. You took rest in the abandoned village, and in the rest, you went to sleep, and then you woke up the next day, and she was gone. The necklace was still there, but she was gone. And then you guys continue exploring the village, finding there was mutated former sentient villagers. You guys started having crazy nightmares because the supposed corruption in the area was infecting you, and soon you guys would potentially turn into these mutated abominations. So your clock was ticking, and so with your own urgency now, like, I don't want to die, and being plagued with nightmares that were just debilitating you, you guys continued marching forward. You started having dreams or visions of a weird obsidian black tree, and then you eventually found this black tree in the center of all this massive corruption. As you approach the tree to try to figure out what you're supposed to do at this tree without the guidance and of this Aniel that you were working with, you got ambushed by a platoon of orcs. 20 orcs or so had found your guys' scent and apparently had gone to this tree before you did and was like waiting in ambush for you. And that's when Babarusa approached outside the opposite side of the tree and was like, I was waiting for this opportunity. And now to prove to my people, I'm going to prove my right that my prophecies and visions are correct by destroying you interlopers, and entered combat with you, and then was getting her butt kicked by you, had some kind of conversation with the orcs nearby here, And then the orcs that were with her turned on her for some reason and attempted to kill her or finish her off. And you guys only caught the ending of that conversation because someone cast Comprehend Languages late because no one spoke Orc normally. Haname used Comprehend Languages near the end and caught the ending portion of the orcs getting into an argument with her about something that she's lied to us, she's misled us, her visions are false. There was all this different banter, and seemingly the leader of that orc warband, not being her being adjacent to it, but the actual leader named Kenok, he said, for your crimes against us, you're sentenced to death. And they all charged to slaughter her. And then she just sent out a wave of miasma with probably the last of her strength. It evaporated almost every single one of those orcs and almost killed all of you, but you guys survived. And with all of you on the inch of death, you guys entered the final throes of that conflict. You managed to kill her before she could kill you, and you then recognized after defeating her that miasma she sent out rotted organic flesh and made these poops and soups of organic fluids around you. It also rotted the tree that you were next to, the black obsidian tree, and you noticed the tree kind of crack and break apart, and almost if divine providence, part of one of the branches kind of point. No, actually not a branch. Her, on her dying breath, she said, "It cannot let you win," or something of such nature. And she kind of collapsed against the tree as a supporting her, and this bracelet she had caught one of the branches that were still attached to the tree, and her hand ended up pointing to the center of the tree, and the tree then cracked open, and that's where you saw this purple gem, which you then grabbed and then deduced that it's part of the necklace, and you're like, let's get the fuck away from this aftermath because this area seems really defiled and corrupted. You then did the ritual that you didn't exactly know how to work it, but you deduced a way to engineer your own way to work with this artifact and made a ritual to open a portal that got you into the planar realm where Aniel was. And that should definitely suffice on your 25 history check.
Yeah. Guacamole.
Some shit, man. Some shit went down.
All right.
So, of course, they, I guess, arrived, and I didn't know who you were at the time. And you guys were presumably trying to help free me. And I remember hearing something speaking to you. I don't really remember what was said, but you then fought it, and then Oric was freeing me. He was dumping acid onto the chains and eventually broke them free. And then Rukan was really hell-bent on killing you, Evelyn. Absolutely. Desperately trying to... I think you perceived you as the biggest threat. And you guys were just, one after the other, just dumping conjurations, potions down her throat. And you fought for life, and someone... Was it Doma? Or someone else, maybe Orc? One of you got a critical injury on Rukan, who then just stormed off into his swirling darkened maelstrom, shouting that none of us will leave this place alive. And that's when the temperature started rising dramatically. The dark and shadows started collapsing in on us. It felt like the place was basically self-destructing, collapsing in to oblivion. And somehow something called to me that let me whisk us away. I don't know what I did, but something called to me to do something, and we got out of there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was by the skin of our teeth that we got out of that alive.
Okay.
Very, very harrowing. Probably. Well, I mean, we've had many harrowing experiences, so for surely one of our most closest encounters to demise.
So, if it wasn't you that was able to resurrect Roderick, is that why you lost your powers? Because something used them to help us outside of the prison? No. Okay.
I'll reiterate that I think when I returned to the soil, free of my shackles in that realm, I felt like I was getting stronger. I was not on soil for long. we went underground pretty quickly, right? The very next day, the next morning, it was only a handful of hours later. But I felt like my strength was normalizing, but it's really hard to gauge. Really
Because it would have
hard.
probably been slow. So I guess my only thoughts are maybe the Agnir affected your ability to recover, but something else happened at the lake, right?
Yes. Okay, wait. Why were you in the mine? Quickly. Why were you in the mine?
So I didn't want to go in the mines. I
Mhm.
was outvoted on that.
I think I
But-
flipped a coin.
We were
You
just
stumbled
trying
into the
to-
mines?
Just trying to lose the pursuers of the orcs, and I think we only had one or two options. One was to either go into this cave in the split in the mountain, or
Well,
I can't remember what the other option really was.
We were
to-
trying to actually, I guess, head to here, Windheim, after the ordeal with Rukon, and them feeling better about their swollen necks and the corruption that was killing them. They felt better about it. They thought, we saved the day. Let's head south because the Fort Hall fell, and that they need to warn their families about this threat. So we tried to head south, but there was another orc warband that was interfering, and a similar orc warlock, presumably to this Barbarossa, who had similar powers, and they were working in tandem, not separate, to stop you all, which was too big of a threat, so we ran.
Right.
We did run into an acquaintance of yours, this Birdman, Quack, I think, at this point in time. We ran.
I can't believe Roderick killed Quack.
We ended up
I didn't
retreating
kill him.
back to the to where we almost fought Rukon. This aftermath, this
Right.
landslide. When Rukon self-destructed his plane and we managed to break free, there was a giant explosion behind us. So we must have got free, and that explosion racked into the mountain. I presume that this explosion is what caused not just the landslide, but then perhaps the fissure we found into the mountain's face. It was just such a heavy amount of force that's not natural in any means. And we saw this as a possible opportunity to escape our pursuers. We found it first. If they found that we might not be in there, we might be in there, and they would have to make a choice. And we gambled.
Didn't we try to collapse it too?
We
when
did.
Yeah, we
Yes,
collapsed
you
it, right?
you did. In fact, when we went
pretty sure I
through,
did.
you were a little precariously close to the exit, but you cast some sort of noise spell, and then it collapsed the area, and some of the debris hit you actually. But then that's what got us under the mountain, was this fissure that had from the explosion of the necklace. And we explored that area, and we found dwarven statues. I guess you guys say in a lost empire. And there was this giant statue that had some sort of weird dwarven script, a poem of some sorts that you guys deduced on how to resolve preventing it from annihilating you. Supposedly it was going to kill you.
Dwarven poem,
A riddle, perhaps.
I think I've heard one of these before, like let them eat bread in their head or something like that. Something like that. Let the hammers fall. Something. Sounds so familiar.
Let the
Honestly,
hammers
that
fall and
part-
sing out loud. That's right. Let the hammers fall and
Yes,
sing
that
out
sounds
loud.
about right. Yes, I think I've read that someplace. Yes.
Let thou lose your head.
But we had found remnants of a civilization, and this poem had awoken the statue, which then broke a seal to another chamber that led us. We kept following that. We found a town covered in.
Yeah, it's made of obsidian, wasn't it? The door.
Yeah, I believe it was.
That's where my obsidian cat came from.
Yeah.
And we found an abandoned town that looked like it was kind of placed near this obsidian seal.
It was like an outpost,
And
basically.
yeah, it had some remnants. We did some poking around. I almost died. You all saved me. There was spiders.
Spiders are no joke.
Lots of spiders. And then we continued moving forward. We then found a back entrance into the Medan city, which we got arrested in. And Haname got torn
Twice.
away from us as collateral.
Twice.
So this is when you killed the king.
No.
Well, that was after the
That
lake.
comes later.
So
That's when I join.
we
Boy,
went.
this is a This is a lifetime of journeys.
It was. It's
Oh
been
my
a long couple
goodness.
months, man. Let me tell you.
Okay. So Haname gets collateral arrested. And then what? The king says you're gonna work for me.
Quack on the way through this back entrance, Quack got abducted by a bat, presumably sent off to his death because we found his shattered bow on the ground, I think. But so we lost him, and then we lost Haname, and the rest of us got into the city, and then we met Davis, right? And Lena, and they were good people, and then the rest of the Medan's soldiers were not good people, and they dragged us to the king, who basically Doma did not like him at all.
No, I did not.
Okay.
But
and then friend taken, forced into servitude, and what's he telling you to do? I mean, why did he need you to be conscripted? Anyone?
I could take over from here because I was told
We had to
this
go
part of the
through
story.
the mines.
Yes, they were conscripted to go clear out the mines which had been closed for many a year.
And this is where Agnir comes from, then, I'm supposing?
Yes, the mines of Medan is where Agnir is mined from.
Okay, alright, I'm seeing the picture. Alright.
So they get conscripted after this introduction to the Medan city, and they go into the mine where they begin exploring. At this point, I don't know. Have you ever been to the Medan? No, you wouldn't have.
No.
It's not. It's very large. There's many pathways. Some parts of it's very confusing. So they travel quite a ways down and stumble upon a dwarven adventuring party who had snuck into the mines, where they met the late Duro, whom was exploring the cavern with two of his compatriots, which they join. Well, he sends them off, but he joins them because he doesn't trust them wandering around alone. And
he was privy of the environment. He was like some sort of Pathfinder unit.
Yes, he was a Pathfinder.
As was this group, but when we ran into them, they were on the verge of death. Actually, they were fighting these winged creatures near a cliff face, and they were about to be thrown off to their death, and we saved them. Doma jumped off to grab one of the dwarfs by his feet, and someone else jumped off and grabbed him, or there was a ladder of people holding on to this dwarf dangling over the abyss.
Reckless.
It definitely was.
Okay.
So fun though.
But we saved the Duro unit, and then the two other of the three, they were, I guess, too scared to continue, and they went back. And Orc also chickened out and went, I'm not going to go forward either, and he went back. So Duro kind of took the place of some of the people we lost at this point, and then we continued moving forward.
And that's whenever
they didn't make it back.
They continued moving forward, and they came across a tunnel which became difficult to pass through. They had to go prone to crawl through it, and at the end of it, they kept walking for a very long time when they came upon a big opening, which was a massive, almost like an underground lake with crystal clear.
Here we are, the apex of the story, the lake. Now is the time to learn.
And if I recall, you said that you were able to walk atop the water, right?
Yeah.
Like a mirror.
If we could walk atop it, yeah.
And they walked towards the very center, which had a massive Agnir
vein. Yeah, I think it did.
It had a massive spire
of Agnir.
That's not what happened.
We heard breathing, didn't we? We heard breathing coming from it or something. Or
That's what you all.
From your perspective.
That's what you all said, but that's not what happened.
So what did you witness then, Aniel?
We got to the lake surface, and then you all just started staring off in space at the giant column of Agnir in the middle. And then
Insight check.
Roll an insight check. You were eager on that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do remember. I do remember. She did say that after the events. Is that
the shit didn't happen, guys?
Okay, so I rolled a 13 plus 4. So that's a 17.
She seems absolutely convinced that her statements are truth. She does not agree with this foretelling. There's a disconnect from what she perceived at getting to the lake. She agreed with.
Something affected us that didn't affect her, because we thought we were hearing breathing or like noises of something like following us or watching us, I believe.
You all were acting weird, but I did not hear or perceive any of such noise. But I just thought maybe it was just the enclosed environment affecting you, which makes sense. You guys are not from such confined spaces. But to re-answer, you just all got to the surface of the water, and as if as soon as you looked centerward towards this giant green efflorescent column of Agnia, you all just lost the will to move. You just like zonked out. Coma-like.
For complete transparency, though, to continue with what they said they saw, it was a massive column of Agnir, shining green. They got to it, and I don't remember if someone interacted with it or what.
I believe someone did.
Break off a piece, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then it spawned a bunch of clones of
Creatures.
themselves that started attacking each other.
Yeah.
And they kept multiplying, and they
It was a big angry god.
they got overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It was the big angry man that really did us in the end.
So what did he look like?
He was like ridiculously tall, really skinny, long ass arms, big claws, lots of teeth.
The same kind of creatures we saw later, right?
Yeah, we saw about like 2,000
Yeah.
of them later.
They were the
And
ones that
it was-
were in the big room.
They were like 8-9 feet tall, lithe creatures, humanoid in appearance, but terrible posture, hunched forward. They didn't have orifices for eyes, ears, or mouth. They just smooth domed head, black oil-like skin.
Does this kind of creature sound familiar to Baldric at all?
You can make her Arcana check.
And if I recall correctly, you did, these creatures did not sound. You've never encountered these creatures before, but this time, right?
Wait on Kyle's roll here first.
Yeah.
15 Arcana.
It sounds far realmish. Is what it's like the descriptions that are being announced. It sounds like it's an entity from the far realm, is what it would be. But no, you are not familiar with what its name would be or.
Stupid low roll, stupid 6.
So you said.
Were you familiar with these creatures, or was this the first time seeing them?
They felt familiar when we started running into them later. They are very reminiscent of other entities that invaded your realm from, presumably, Levolt said, the outer realms.
Right. And
so you got a piece of this Agnir and this caused the creature to come out of the crystal according to your story. Do we have this chunk of Agnir still?
No. That's where the story converges with Anio's retelling, in that they woke up on the edge of the lake after
We didn't even get to the
succumbing.
stone.
Yes, succumbing to this, and in Anio's retelling, they never went to this massive stone. They woke up as is, and had apparently perished. And
To us, we.
So there's no evidence to corroborate your side of the story versus Aniel's. Then there's no evidence.
Correct.
Okay.
We feel like we died, but.
All right. So, Anya, from your point of view, they collapsed. What next?
So we got to the lake's surface, and then they just stared off into space, and then I think Doma was the first to fall. Blood started just pouring out of him, and he collapsed.
A few times, I remember, right?
And then I tried to heal him, and my healing didn't work, as if the injury was not real, but he was bleeding nonetheless profusely, mortal danger bleeding. And then in that moment of disparity of trying to save him, the others also all fell as well. Similar injuries appearing on each and every one of them. In fact, I don't even know if the scar you received from that across your chest has ever fully healed, Doma. Do you still have that, like, slash?
Yeah. Yeah, it's still there.
So clearly my skills have faded over the...
So they did die, or they look like they died?
That's the question, isn't it?
He has
The
a massive
truth
scar on his
is-
chest.
Very important, Anio. Very important. Very.
See, he's like coming closer.
Yes, it's very important.
Glasses.
You can tell she's averting her gaze. She's looking away. She's like withdrawing herself. She definitely, you can tell she's receding from this conversation. You're very prying in an area where she does not want to share.
This is very important.
What was the question?
She's been zoning out.
The question is, well, did they die? Were they alive? What happened after they became unconscious?
Aniel,
What
I
hap-
think we do deserve to know what happened to us.
Can you make a persuasion roll?
Thank God, it's a charisma character that's doing it.
Oh no!
Come on,
no.
come on.
No, boy. That is.
I will say before I even
It's
hear
an
it.
11.
I was gonna say before I even hear it, Baldric was giving you help. You do have advantage, but if it's a second, Baldric almost made the check himself, but not quite.
21.
21.
Math. Quick math.
I suck at math. I had to count on my fingers. Shut up.
Like I'm about to get to the juice here.
Yes. I'm excited. Yes.
With a very solemn expression, she then turns to Doma. They died. All of them died. I couldn't save them. They all died. They were gone. Whatever happened in that moment, they died. I was powerless to stop it. And I didn't. It was not fair. It was not fair to them who've done so much for me, and so I did the unspeakable, and I sacrificed a lot to make sure that this injustice would not be perpetuated. So you all were brought back. That's why. And then, yes, ever since then, this is what's been happening of me. But it was worth it. Even if I become nothing, it was worth it. You understand that, right?
I understand it, yes. As a person who is a practitioner of medicine, I understand that you sacrifice a lot to heal those around you. So I completely understand your motivations and sympathize with them completely. So, what happened next? You bring them back through some sort of amazing sacrifice, heroic, amazing. What happens next to the rest of the group then? Because I think I remember you saying something like, now that, because I did this, they can cast healing magic or something. Baldric's kind of trying to hide a little bit of a grin on his face as he's trying to figure out how
Conducting
this...
the dots.
Yes.
Well, ever since that event, Doma seems to have had him. I mean, you tell him, Doma, right?
I have been able to heal since then, or
And you
close
have,
to it.
and you were not able to do so beforehand. Is that correct?
I could certainly try. It never worked.
Okay.
I tried and it didn't work.
Ever since then, I mean, he was trying very diligently, and suddenly there was success at times. And then the successes became more and more consistent, as if he was getting into the wavelength to be able to do and replicate what I do.
Alright. Okay.
So it's very possible that what I did gave him access to something they should not have.
Okay.
And you already said there's no way for us to give it back, right?
No.
That you know of.
She said she's not omnipotent. She did admit it. So
That is correct.
okay. Okay. So after you sacrifice for the party to bring them back, what happens next? What else are you doing in the mines? It's a bit of a. I've been filling some details. Saroth pops in the vault.
So after
There was the Volscrap.
The necromantic
what?
pyramids.
A Volkswagen? What?
There's a-
Volscrap.
there's
Just
a
imagine
Volscrap.
a rat the size of a train, but trains aren't real, so imagine it the size of 3 carts long.
The
Okay.
hell is a
To be
train?
fair, Doma's a little bitter because it almost killed him in like one hit. So.
I didn't know it was there, and suddenly I wasn't there.
This is like the 10th time I hear about someone dying or almost dying.
We've almost died a lot, this group. That's
Well,
for sure.
apparently someone's died a lot. I point at Roderick.
I will say, at this point, I'm not conscious, so I don't know what was happening here either.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a backpack annual at the time.
After
What?
Aniel did that, from what I was told, she became unconscious and she was being carried around by the party.
Of course. Okay.
For a very long time, she remained unconscious,
Yeah.
and
We were quite worried that
Doma
she wasn't
was
going to make it.
Doma was diligent in trying his best to rejuvenate her in any capacity he
That
could.
is actually when I got decently good at healing magic was right around then.
Okay, this is adding up, alright?
But yes, so they continue through the mines and they come across way deeper into the mines. This is skipping over some trials and tribulations.
Mhm.
They come across pyramids, which have very, very strange markings on them that nobody can read.
These are the ones that Roderick showed us earlier. from
Yeah.
We sketched them down, right? You
Yeah.
showed them them?
Yeah, we showed him that. We sketched
and
he
and
sketched
her
it,
mother,
showed it.
and then neither one of it made any sense to us at the time. I
and
didn't get to
there-
complete my ritual though, so I didn't
True.
actually get a real check. So I
Um,
could try again later.
and there
Rod would
was-
just pass him the script. Yeah.
Well, it was going to
There
take
you
me 10 minutes to ritually cast comprehend language,
Yeah,
so I won't
it's-
be able to do it just now.
But you
but-
have the material now to do it.
Okay, I'll put it in my bag of holding. Thank you, Roderick. When I get a chance, I will take a look and see if I can make any sense of it.
So there was like if I
Roll
recall,
of insane.
necrotic energy radiating from the top of the pyramid in like a massive, almost like a green flame.
We basically found out that anyone who entered the mine was being put into this like mill of people that their souls and their energies were being sucked.
to
This green energy, did you shoot
Out.
an arrow through it?
I think
I
that the
touched
dwarf
it.
did contemplate it, if I recall correctly.
Goddamn,
Pretty
this
sure
freaking-
Jiro did.
freaking metagaming. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't even have these suggestions. You know this.
The
Tired of it,
dwarf-
Kyle. I'm tired of it. You're making hints like this all night.
the dwarf could potentially, I think he could hit whatever it was he was trying to shoot.
We
But
convinced him
Finger
not
me.
to.
The massive pyramids formed a ginormous underground ritual circle just to speed things up. And it was found through much conflict that in the very center they came across a perch where this individual, whom we now know as Levolt, was seen in the middle of the ritual circle with thousands of these shadow creatures. And in... quote me if I'm wrong, but in a blink of an eye, they all started to form together and formed a massive shadow copy of the Sarath individual, who then spawned into existence.
Oh, it wasn't a blink of an eye. Oh. It wasn't a blink of an eye.
Oh,
You tried to stop it. Oh, and go to other pyramids. Oh,
Was that you
but
in
you
the
didn't get
background?
there in
as a
time.
kid again?
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really hasty at this time. I
Yes.
remember some of it. I mean, I was woken up by now. I do remember us seeing some of the things that we had fought in earlier, like well, I remember I saw a copy of the Vault.
Oh, I recall. They tried to collapse one of the pyramids, and they collapsed a tunnel, trying to disrupt the ritual lines to try and stop whatever it was. But after that failed, they went to the center to try and engage directly whatever it was, and that is whenever they found this Sarath individual.
And from what you were telling me earlier, Levolt and Sarath had a conversation. Levolt goes behind a curtain box or something, and you end up getting to fisticuffs with Sarath. And then it gets very harrowing, very, very, very close. And then Levolt comes back and dispatches him, and he doesn't even see your existence at all. And then that's that. But you saw Levolt had some sort of spear. I'm gonna pull a piece of parchment and a pen, a quill. I want as much details about this spear as possible. Descriptions, details, everything that you can. I think this is a very, very important piece of the puzzle. And so I need as much information about this as possible from those who witnessed it, saw it, described it, everything.
Looks at the individuals that were there.
Well, one of them evaporated just now, Roderick, so...
Yeah.
Staff? How'd the staff look?
Yeah, he has to go early, unfortunately.
Ah, okay.
Understandable. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I was late, so...
Well, it wasn't
I'm
really
sorry,
much
what
of a
was the
staff.
question?
It was
What's-
a spear.
What's the spear look like? What's the description of the spear?
He wants as much details about the spear as possible. Is there a reason why you want such information?
Well, I was wondering about the spear because I know you mentioned that Marin, his main weapon
Can I
was a
try and draw the
spear.
bloody thing?
Your character's
And I
not
was
super
wondering if you
proficient with drawing.
recognize
I don't really think that. I mean, if you want to give descriptions, if you remember descriptions, that would be a great time to do such.
No, Mr. DM, I draw it instead.
Yeah, I want to draw it instead.
It is a wine with a little triangle at the end of it. Wow.
I draw
I'm
it.
great. I'm great. I'm great.
I spend time.
They give some... Didn't they give some details earlier about it? I remember.
So I drew a really good drawing.
I'm
of
pretty sure
Lena.
it was a giant
Okay.
silver spear.
I had like
Well, I don't want to keep this. I don't want to keep this god.
I can't remember what we said recently. I can't remember what we said recently.
I don't remember either.
I know what it looks like. I know because I'm watching the previous games, but I don't know what we said recently, and I don't want to metagame and act on information that Baldric wouldn't have.
Doma and Evelyn, roll a history check. Why am I doing
Your
this?
book's fired.
God damn it.
I'm reading my notes. Fucking
Yeah,
whatever.
you just probably didn't write notes
Very
about it.
important.
I know it's in there.
Important.
They both rolled bad, and that means you're gonna get nothing.
9.
History.
9.
An image of the spear appears in the chat.
16.
God damn it. Of course, one of you rolls well. Why? Why can't
thanks.
dice allow? Why can't dice allow at least some justice? Like, I don't care if it's been
No
2
justice
years.
for you.
Come on, the spear seems really important.
It's written down. I just gotta find the bloody thing.
Oh.
Anyway.
Yeah, my notes aren't in order anymore, so
All right. Well, so here's from Evelyn and Doma and Roderick piecing it together. They go, well, the spear, and Aniel will chime in a couple times, but not as much as they will. All right, the spear was like 8 to 9 feet long. It appears to be made out of like a creature's bone. Like it's like white. What do you call freaking the color white for bone?
Gray.
Bone
Ivory.
white.
Like ivory colored, like
sure,
cream
yeah.
colored.
There was some word I wanted right now, but I can't think of it. Anywho,
Eggshell.
yeah, it appears to be bone construct, most of it, but there is organic flesh that was just excess, specifically underneath the head of the spear. So the spear, its like head itself was kind of like scythe-like, not so much that it like a reaper scythe, but it's a very almost more like a glaive. Really, it's a long.
I think I had sickle written down, but I think that's wrong.
It's not a sickle. But it's like that. It's like a scythe blade, but it's flipped upwards, so it's more of it's a spear, really. But it's a glaive, really. I guess would be the thing. You've just been calling it a spear. Anywho, and there are like veins that came out of like the head of it, as if there was veins that were going into the bone itself, and they came out, and there was this congested like organic blob underneath the head of the spear that had all these vines kind of intertwining into it to this giant mass, this spherical mass that appeared to have like a beating heart pulse effect to it. And some of the vines did coil themselves out, helixing around the spear down into the shaft of the spear, but they didn't go too much further down. It is a very horrific flesh weapon, is what it looked like. Like it was manifested from some creature's remains, and yet somehow there was still existence or life still in it.
So with these new details, am I allowed to get another roll?
On recognizing this? No! No, these details are not going to let you make another roll. You wouldn't know what this is.
I got a roll for the first time it was just mentioned in passing, but now that I'm getting details.
Fine, roll.
Yes!
It doesn't matter. I don't care if you even roll a 30. You're not going to know. It's a pointless roll.
Ah, really?
Yes.
Nat 20.
Well, I didn't get a 20.
Right.
I got a 14 plus. What is it? What are we doing? Arcana?
It'd be Arcana, yes.
Okay. Well, I'd be at 23.
No, you wouldn't. You don't know. All right, like so. The thing also no. No, I can't break this for you. Never mind. I'm not gonna meta. I wanted to say that. It would have been a really good justification as to why you wouldn't know. But at the same time, you can come to that conclusion on your own. So either way, you don't know. It doesn't sound familiar to you. It's some sort of death spear as you've been. It sounds horrific. Why would something make that? Right? This is what I'm expecting Baldric to say.
Some sort of death spear. Why would somebody make this weapon?
Oh my god.
Sounds horrific.
Well, as it stands, after that interaction with Sarath, they lose Duro. They then make their way to the other side of the mines, and that's where they find me. And from there, I introduced them to this Karat city. They explain what all happened with Medan. They track their way back with me. That's where we run into the incident where we have to fight the king due to
incident.
Yes, there was
incident.
A provocation that escalated out of control. But we turned.
Karat seemed to be opposed to the monarchy, so us making it through the mines apparently was alarming to them, and they did not. They were thinking that a war was brewing, and so they were sending an ambassador back because they enjoyed their own sovereign rule. And when we were in Medan, it did seem like the king was very interested of reestablishing his ties to his former empire. In fact, he assumed that they were potentially one of the reasons why the mines went dark, as a what do you want to call it? A coup occurred. So we were asked to escort an ambassador back to the monarch to introduce them, to allow their relations to be together. We were also informed, why would we do such a thing when we had so many other more important things, that there was no way out of the mountain. because the only way out is through the Grey Gate, which is permanently closed. And there's a key that opens the gate, but only the king has the key. So if we wanted freedom, we would have to go back anyways. So we were hoping that maybe if we just helped negotiate this as quickly as possible, we could save lives and get back to the surface to return back to like Evelyn's mother and warn them about the orc threat. But by now it's been weeks, right? Already it's been weeks. So, I mean, clearly we were all being relatively stressed. And, but we did agree to escort Captain Vistra Miles and her entourage of 2 other dwarf individuals, not to seem too threatening, back through the mines, which there was not terrible incidents along the way. We did help a ghost, I suppose, at some point. We found some troops. Apparently, the Medan mines did send an army in after us, as they were planning on doing, and they were mopping up the aftermath of our excursion. And then we quickly got back to Medan, which we then decided to go to see our friends first of Darvis and Lena, who were delighted to see our presence, but the king was not happy apparently about us not going to his place first, and so he saw that as an insult and dragged us in front of him in some sort of domineering fashion, which everyone was on high alert, and Doma was very antsy on returning the disrespect the king was giving us for going through such a harrowing experience, and the king claiming that we were insignificant and that he has all the power, and that he actually, the friend that we had, Haname, the one that was collateral to make us do what he wanted it to do, he, as a form of gloating, I suppose, he was so in his own head that he was immune to consequences. He claimed that Haname had been killed, and he executed her weeks ago, I suppose, and and Doma did not like that, and Doma opened a spell on the king, and the king defended himself, and we were dragged into regicide, which unfortunately for the king, he died, but for us, we survived.
You don't talk about killing your friends.
Rebuilt the...
Well, we went back to Karat at that point with the key to open the Grey Gate, and I guess restore democracy.
We stayed in the city to rebuild the democracy first.
House arrest is what we were. It's sort of like we were criminals for killing the former monarchy, but apparently the monarchy was not greatly favored, and so we were not immediately thrown in chains and executed for such a terrible ordeal. Instead, we were given very great leniency, and our connections and good deeds that I guess we did beforehand carried enough weight to avoid the severity of such consequences. And instead, we helped one of the other fundamental pillars of that society gain prominence, and through her and our suggestions, we helped establish a mock government for the time being, that Medan could work with Karat on a future for the future of Medan. And in such efforts, we had asked that the gate would be open again because we wanted freedom, and they agreed to such terms, which then we were given the key to... Well, no, we were not given the key to do that. We were sleeping on it, and then this is where the assassins come in.
One step back. What happened to Haname in the end?
Well, so Haname actually was not dead. The king was completely lying. It was just a supposed show of force, I suppose. And he just did not like people lording over him, I suppose. Maybe like a certain DM. So, not me, another DM that Potato should be familiar with. So in such foolishness, he led to his own demise, and but Haname we actually found her still in her cell. She was using one of her old tricks, actually, still, apparently numerous times, pretending to be dead. She had some magical spell that made her look like she was dead, and apparently the guards said that she does that all the time, but she was actually still alive, and we regrouped. We continued with the setting up the government, and then we split off, and then apparently someone was not happy with either the decisions that we were leading Medan towards, or were unhappy that we had removed their previous security with the Keen, and we had marks on our heads, and many of us were greeted with blades in our back or crossbows shot at us.
Well, yeah, we were ambushed while we were sleeping, I believe.
They had the audacity to fight me head on. Quite not good for
Didn't I
them.
meet
But,
you in the church?
If
They
I
did.
recall,
They
you fared very well.
I did. They tried to assassinate me in a holy ground. It was
I
not-
think I was with Captain Miles, wasn't I, when this happened?
Yes, you were in the left area of the church. It was a
Yep.
small bedroom. I managed to fight my way outside, and while dodging crossbow bolts and catching them and throwing them back, advise you all on what was happening.
Right, and the Vistra had vanquished the one that was attempting to kill us.
Right.
And then, unfortunately, Haname was in the room adjacent to us, but she was killed first, and she was assassinated before they went to our room, and she did not make it. She was killed there, so we lost an ally there. I guess we kind of mentioned that Orc left us previously. There was evidence that Orc and Duro's accomplices never did return back to Medan safely. We found remains of their belongings.
Their bags or something, right?
So they most likely did not survive. And then, as mentioned before, Quack was presumably did not survive the fall, but we did run into him, I guess.
Speaking of NPCs that are player characters are now NPCs and disappearing, is Pyrus with us?
So this was mentioned before you came in. So
Yeah.
Pyrus was alerted.
Getting her healing remedies or something, and then she disappeared for like an episode or two.
And so and Evelyn and Roderick had informed the group at the start of today about that. So your character is aware that the Pyrus has left.
She went
for our
off to
mission.
find
And
Okay, so
probably
she's
will not
gone
come
now.
back. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
a friend of hers that she saw die, who's an author, wrote a second book apparently. So she's off finding.
Okay. Okay. So, assassins defeated, life spared, except Haname didn't make it. Then you continue towards the Great Gate. You run into Thorak now.
Captain Miles gave, because I guess she was entrusted with the key. She gave the key to Ikal, telling us to flee, as this would not be the only attempt at our lives, and that she would work with the new government to find and uproot this syndicate or whatever. Clearly, our efforts were not completely anonymous, so there was going to be a huge fiasco involved with it.
Right.
And since Vistra was a good colleague of ours by now, she cared about our wants and needs, and basically told us to leave so that we could be free of such burden, which we fled, and then made our way back to Hammerhold. We then met an acquaintance of her. We were told to find a Dawnbreaker, which is Thorak.
Yeah.
And after running into Thorak, we stayed around Hammerhold for a little while, and then went and opened the Grey Gate.
But that's
and from there.
Well, just to let you know, Thorak, we had made a potent friendship with Vistra, who apparently was also a good colleague of yours.
Vistra?
Vistra Miles? Captain Vistra Miles?
Captain Miles, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah.
She told us to find you.
So that's why we went back to Hammerhold in hopes to find you, because you would help
Find
us
you. Exactly.
establish the means to use the Chodoris discreetly, I suppose. Which you helped us get out. So, mission success. We had quite a few harrowing experiences with her. The king. We fought a basilisk that turned Ikal into stone.
Oh yeah, that did happen.
There was a giant stone creature that was murdering the Medan dwarves that we helped dispatch. So
Babarusa came back in the mines too. We fought Babarusa in the mines as well.
Oh yeah,
that would be back before.
Right.
That was
Volscrap days. Those Volscrap days.
That was after the lake, but before the Seroth encounter.
That was for before the Sarotha counter.
After the lake, but before the Sarotha counter.
Yeah.
Anywho, so yes, then we left through the Grey Gate, and then we come down the ramp outside where we went to Pyrrhus, and Pyrrhus was on a journey to go to see tourist spots because of a book, and we brought her back to the gate. She decided not to go into the mountain because things were different and uncomfortable. We went back into went down to Pipel, where we ran into you.
Alright, so the rest is history.
Yep.
Okay, I think I have most of the information now.
God,
this
you got Potato was like, can we just do this as a recap instead of having to go through it? Right? We could have done it that way. But then you wouldn't be able to ask. You wouldn't be able to ask the additional questions and insight Aniel's retelling of the story. Unfortunately, I made her do way more.
I think it was pretty pivotal to catch certain things the second time around that she told the story.
So, plan of attack then with all the information we have. We need. What's our end goal? Was to restore, points at Aniel's, her health. And then we'll start up. Don't shake your head. No, you are a key player.
Just to make sure, to me, the most important thing is that you all live. That's more important to me.
And you help keep us alive. So, you scratch our back, we scratch yours. Perfect. So, now, we have to restore her manas, what our most recent theory is, and we're going to go to Venahira. No, that's
a call. You see Aniel, like after like Baldric starts like ranting and starting to think his head as he's like missing like which way he wants to describe it. Aniel like grips the blankets that she's got like on her, and she's just like clenching them really tightly, and you can tell that she's starting to have water leak down the side of her face.
Aniel, I know he's seemingly going off, but we are alive. Whether or not we wish to help you, the way we see it, if we help you, we are helping more than just you. You have saved us. Well, me indirectly, I guess, because if you didn't save them, I would still be in the cave, and that is something to think about. But I would never have had these great experiences, much like you would have never had these great experiences. All the pain you suffered.
And you're actually, because you're a catalyst, you're helping potentially save the Broken Peaks. Broken
Peaks clan. Yes.
Yes, because you scratch our back, we scratch yours. Who scratches the cowl behind the ears? Who helps the tree? Yes, it all comes full circle.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, we thank you for what you've done.
Yes, full circle.
And then it gets awkwardly quiet for like a good 8 to 10 seconds.
Yes, full circle.
I guess, Aniel, at this point, what do you see as your purpose or goal at this point, Aniel? Have you just given up?
I don't have any other ambition right now.
Don't you want to stop Levolt? He's up to something bad.
How can we stop? You don't understand how dangerous he is.
You don't understand the insane connections that you've just told me this amazing story. I couldn't write such a crazy fictitious story. Legend lore doesn't even comprehend the things that you guys have accomplished. It's been said before, and I'll say it again. I think we have other divine powers at play here with fates. I'm leaning towards Eleanor. Some of you are so bent on Vlad, but forget him. It seems much more in Eleanor's section of things that I think is just too much of a coincidence for all these things to happen in such a fashion that it did. for us to dismiss them as we have no part to play. We most certainly have a part to play in stopping Levolt, who is working with the Calathip. And that makes me think of something here.
Well,
The
and I-
timeline. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just. You reminded me of something.
I just reminded myself of something, too. The timeline of what you were telling me about these pyramids. You looked at the pyramids, but you didn't understand them at first. But then you understood them after you defeated Saroth. Saroth is a herald of
That's not necessarily. So before we got to Saroth, there was I kind of contacted my patron because things were getting pretty harrowing, and so I beseeched his aid more formally than I've ever done, and there might be some lingering aftermath of that that changed my relationship and my boons that I get from Elrian.
But, okay. But still, my train of thought is that Elrian and Calathip are on opposite sides of each other. So I was thinking that maybe with Saroth out of the picture, and maybe negatively hold away that vacuum of her power influence in that sphere of things, and that it might be legible after all, for she can no longer shroud that hidden information that was on the pyramids. The timeline to me seems like that is what happened. And so that's why I want to give another chance at this Tome of Insanity.
You're too good, damn it.
Yes, I am.
Or maybe you're not. Maybe you're way off base. We'll find out.
Yeah, no, I've lived with you for too many years,
Well-
Alex.
The one thing that I did remember is with Baba Rusa, she had mentioned a prophecy, and she said the winged one it showed me. So what winged one would be working with Baba Rusa?
Well, it would obviously be Levolt. That's the only
Not obviously.
reason.
I thought they were
I don't
talking about
know.
freaking-
So I don't know if Levolt is
Mr.
the
Snake.
only player in this puzzle here, because what happened to the other two? What are they doing? They obviously had some motivations to work with Levolt in the first place. There has to be some sort of benefit
Did
for them.
did they have wings, Daniel?
They all had
Levolt?
wings.
Yes, Levolt, Nadal, Marin. We all had wings.
Oh, okay. That's better.
Well,
then.
Baba Rusa was working with someone who had wings, and
It doesn't necessarily mean Levolt, though.
no,
Fair.
but I'm pretty sure her last words were revolving around you can't eat the world or something like that. So something bigger than us.
Is her corpse still someplace? There are
A melted
spells.
pile of goo.
There are spells where you can
No,
ask
I don't
questions.
think. Oh shit! I have her staff though.
Let's go all the way
And her
out
bracelet.
to the no man's land, northeast Medan Mountains, looking for a corpse we just left rotting there.
Yeah, I have
If
her
we
staff,
can-
but that's all that we have of Baba
This,
Rusa.
this is so crazy for you to even propose it, but I mean it's not impossible. I mean, what she's dead. Jesus.
So,
Look, this is like 2 months ago. Let's hope her remains are untouched.
Her remains
didn't
were
say
already
that.
basically goo.
If I may,
All right, it's fine. It's a dead end. Okay, fine.
No,
Lay
I'm just-
off me.
I'm just-
I'm
I
just thinking
just
of
think that there's an
solutions.
interesting connection with the winged one, the winged serpents, all the winged things.
Right, it's true. It may not. Actually, you're right. It may not even be Levolt,
Everybody's got
Mirren,
goddamn
or
wings,
Nadal. It could be another winged creature. Dragons are winged
Maybe
creatures.
she
There's
that shrouds his
wyverns.
wings.
There's many powerful entities out there that have wings.
Right.
So there's no guarantee that any of the angelic compatriots with Aniel. But what we do know, the most imminent threat right now is, we have the most information on, is Levolt, who is extremely devious and strong. Because we
What
saw
were you saying, I call?
I was just going to say that for the moment, we've been thinking about the past and piecing things together, but in this very moment, what should be our priority? I feel to be getting a good base, a foundation from which we can start exploring our opportunities. We need to see the pathways before us.
Well,
My goal is to get Anio to the other city.
I think we're gonna need to meet with some of the council, and I know that they're gonna have things that they would want or need or investigating into. I think if I remember correctly, someone actually had proposed asking Veneer,
Veneer is the god.
Veneer, the city, right? Veneer?
Yes, that's
City?
it.
Okay.
Yes.
I believe one of the council members had proposed asking Veneer for help in the western states with the sickness that's going on. So I know that
Yes.
there is possibly maybe someone who would want us to go to Veneer, to, on top of obviously why we would want to go there. So I think that if we
That
meet
would
with
be
the
a
council, we would have some opportunities maybe to look into some other things. I know I need to talk to my mom as well.
Yes, we need to relay the Hungarian one, the witches, this information with Sarath and the angel deity.
And
Catastrophe.
I honestly don't think there's something with the orcs we're missing. There's got to be some kind of something that we're missing with that whole story. And
Oh yes. So
I'm sure
a band of orcs
we'll
chased you
need
into
to
Medan.
figure
That's
that
right.
out as well. Yeah, at some point.
A band of orcs chased you into Medan. Where are the orcs now then?
Yes. Yes.
We still never got the full story of how that war ended over
Exactly.
there. But
So an army of orcs just disappeared, and now we have their
And
capital.
then they disappeared. Essentially, it sounds like. But the Blue Steel Brigade is basically there in full force in the Orc City, trying to stabilize the region.
The orcs were a diversion? No, because then the orcs will still
That's-
exist
that's
someplace. They're hidden. They're away someplace.
Well, that's the thing,
Okay.
right? What winged person would have sent Baba Rusa to kill us, like, in general? And
I
anyway,
thought you was talking about the big snake.
could have.
The Rukon you're talking about?
The Kodal. But he was already dead at that point.
He was still alive and well in there.
Oh, Rukon. You mean Rukon?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have a couple
Well,
of
maybe Rukon's the one that showed her then. Who? I don't. He was winged, wasn't he?
Quick
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Quick vote, everyone here. All those in favor of high urgency taking Aniel to Veneer, raise your hand.
while I tentatively will raise my hand for this, I also don't think we have seen all other options available to us.
Yeah, we have, I think, a little bit of time before we have to leave for
My
Veneer.
calculations are only 2 weeks for her.
Right, but that
That's
gives us a
not that
couple
much
days
time.
here to at least meet with some people and see what other options we have. I know I have the ceremony today, this afternoon here, which is probably soon, right? Since we've been talking for freaking ever.
That was.
I'm guessing.
She said your mother gave you this invitation this morning, and she said tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay. So yeah. Okay.
So your mother is asking for you to stay at minimum another day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to stay for at least a couple days.
That's
and wrap some
reasonable.
things up.
It's not. You don't
Okay.
have to. It was a request.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, to me, that's I have to.
More important than Aniel's soul.
Okay, so there's Aniel. There is working with the council, which somewhat ties in with Aniel, as you had mentioned. I believe it was the small man who was talking about the
Master Ori.
yes,
believe, yeah.
he was the one who I think was bringing up the reaching out to Veneer for assistance.
Right.
So we probably want to talk to him. He also seems to be one of the experts on.
Well, he's
Extra plate.
very
First place.
knowledgeable, yeah, and
Okay,
he
so that's
may
just
he may have
sorry.
insight on a couple things, but yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
I just-
what other avenues are? Yes,
I mean, as
Aniel.
you looking obviously to try to stop whatever machinations, despite the threat imposed by it, don't forget that I did ask that you not share too much about these dealings with others.
I was just about to say that we did make that promise.
Well, okay, we could ask for information on things like Lycanothelp and the Zenith Spear, or whatever we want to call it.
And there's no better place to research that kind of stuff than here in
We don't have to give too much details about Lavolt and Mirren and Dardal and your special quest and charge.
I'm not saying
But I won't lie to you.
Look, I'm just, if you ask questions about such things, they're likely to ask counter questions back.
Well, I have
We're not obliged
informed
to
my
answer.
mom a little bit of our situation
Simple.
with you. But
We
not
pull
a
out
lot.
this Tome of Insanity and say it was mentioned in here. Nobody can read it besides our Roderick. Right? Blame it on the Tome of Insanity.
Boy.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering why I gave that to you.
Because I can maybe help, of course.
But
I'm amazing.
How can you read it if no one else can
I
read it?
haven't tried yet. You don't know.
But your assumption is that only I can read it. But if you can
Well,
read
so
it, then that means
far-
anyone else could read it. So it's not necessarily the tone. of
Not
insanity.
anybody. They have to be able to comprehend languages and be intelligent. Two things that don't always coincide together.
Well, whatever pathway we choose, I know we're going to need to get stronger. So, I trust all of your judgments, and he's gonna go and assume a meditative trance as he's gonna start just honing in. Gonna start powering up.
Willpower himself some levels.
Yeah.
Like that scene where Piccolo floats a pyramid with his mind.
So he now is he starts minorly floating while he's sitting cross.
No. At the time, that disciple of monk didn't exist yet, so you couldn't multi-class and you can't do it. No, unfortunate.
Okay. So
That would be so cool though if you somehow bridged. Yeah. Oh.
So I think so general motivations. Thorax along for the ride. I'm along for the ride to learn as much about healing magic as well as avoid assassins and regicide and this crazy end of the apocalypse. Doma is looking to protect Aniel at all its full capacity and anything that comes along with that. We have Evelyn, who is gravely interested in Windheim as itself and helping all of its constituents, but also helping the party like Aniel as well, so she's more of in the middle ground. Roderick wants to get a sort of revenge, but there's no immediate timeline urgency. And then we have a call, Broken Peaks. What is the timeline on the Broken Peaks?
He's sitting there meditating, and says, "When I never really considered it too much. We've been waiting years for a chance to retake our city.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it's urgent as it can be, but it's been this way for potentially thousands of years."
Okay, but there's no
And your city is within the mines, right?
Correct. We would have to go back to the Karat side of the mines, to my people's homeland, the Petrified Forest, and
that's right.
go further, deeper into sections of the mines that not even the dwarfs have been to.
So that's okay.
It's high priority. No one's
It's high
discriminating.
priority for sure, but not
urgency
higher
is
than...
what we're looking at right now. Some
Correct.
things have to happen before others. So that's
my people are fine, but
okay.
Yes.
So that pretty much leaves it to, in my opinion, through this careful analysis, that our ultimate goal is to stop Lavolt, get Aniel better to help stop Lavolt, but while we're getting information to help with Aniel, we're going to also long-term work on a few things here, but not too much time. And then after we've helped the Lavolt thing, we can undo the Broken Peaks thing, and healing magic then, and then we'll be able to take care of Wormsworth once and for all. Yes, this all sounded... and then Roderick and his revenge, of course, and then, yes, Yes, and the world would be in a better place because Wormsworth would have been put into the pant. No, because Levolt would have been defeated. Yes. Yes, that's our motivation.
There you go, Levolt, yes.
So, does everyone think this is a reasonable plan of attack? Any objections? All right. So I think what I need to do now is go do research on some of these extraplanar things, like Sed's weird bone spear. Okay. All right. Does anyone want to come with me as I do some research? Oh, wait! We can go seek Ori and see what he knows first, and then I can do research on any gaps that he has. How does that sound to everybody?
Good, I need to swing by and chat with Frelina at some
I was
point
about
anyway.
to say, we
today.
need to say hi to her at some point.
Also, we could look into a way to communicate better as well.
What do you mean? I've already explained that I've already demonstrated how I can do Rory's telepathic bond, where you will be able to talk to each other via telekinesis.
I'm sorry, wait, you can talk in my mind?
What is the distance of that?
Uh-oh.
Infinite on the plane.
Uh-oh.
Infinite on the plane, but it only lasts an hour.
Yes.
So you'd have to keep regrouping every hour.
It is ritual though. It doesn't take a spell slot, but it's pretty high level.
So every hour you're gonna spend 10 minutes. You guys are gonna regroup, spend 10 minutes to cast it again, and then go out. Like
maybe you don't know us. You don't know our life.
We're in control, Larry. It ain't you.
I mean, I don't know how else to improve communication. I mean, unless
we get like some sending stones potentially.
Is that really an item in D&D, or is that just a thing in Critical Role?
That's a thing in D&D.
No, sending stones are legit, but they are usually once per day, one sending spell to the other stone. They're not infinite usages.
Relina had a bracelet or something, right? That she was able to communicate with Roderick?
Yep.
Maybe she can restore the bracelet or something?
Limited time.
Maybe she should fucking upgrade the goddamn bracelet.
We need link pearls, Laris. We need link pearls.
I'm sorry, it was like a one message item.
See here, buddy, you were dead meat at Fortall. You have no right to be ungrateful. Shut up. You were gonna be mutilated. Shut up. I'm not standing for this. She saved your ass.
But
I could have cut off my horns. I could have went with Gullivan's plan.
My point is still kind of relevant. We could look for items that could help us in our journey while we are here in this large city.
Okay. So Relina.
There's shopping to be done, and
Relina, general provisioning.
Yeah.
Mr. Professor Ori, I don't remember his title. Master Ori. Yes, my lord. And then last minute collections and off to Veneer.
Yeah.
Break. Let's do it. All right. I'll get my things. Starts putting on the bag and all those things. All right. Yes.
You also notice there's a fish pastry right next to you.
Yeah.
That wasn't
what
there.
now?
A fish pastry.
What?
So let's explain this. So when you guys left this morning, Sophia gave you provisions in the end of last session, like some breakfast food, and you had waffles. And Akal was given some fish pastries. Was what Akal was given for his breakfast food. And along the way to Geldon's, you had eaten all your waffles and were still hungry, and you asked for if anyone had some spare food. Akal offered you a fish pastry, and you're like, no, I don't want to eat fish. And then Akal's been trying to get you to eat the fish pastry consistently throughout this day. So now there's some fish pastry.
It's been like subtly scooted closer to you across
sat
the table.
there for like an hour now.
That doesn't look like it's past food-borne illness standards, and I just knock it to the floor.
Oh my god, no! Akal's just meditating. He doesn't even notice at this point.
His eyebrow just slightly twitches as he hears.
You're super perceptive.
I sense a disturbance.
I sense a disturbance in the force.
Well, everyone ready to head to... Everyone ready to head towards Relina?
If everyone is ready to go.
Last time we saw her, we were rather poor. I wonder if her opinion of us will change.
Or is this someone you have to buy their opinion of?
I'm pretty sure the kind of person that has been described, coin is very effective.
Maybe my presence will help smooth things over for you, Thomas.
I don't know. Last time we saw her, we tried to put her in a bag.
Why would you put somebody in a bag?
I don't need.
How do you have such outlandish claims all the time?
Let's just go. I swear to God, if I hear another backstory, I'm gonna shoot myself.
All right.
All right, let's go. No context.
We all
You'll
get
figure
our
out what happened from her, I guess.
Prep.
Am I gonna stay with Vortex then? Is that what the?
Yeah, Doma, you probably should have made him a little friendlier, maybe. A little
He's
less
as friendly as
jumpy.
can be.
A little less.
He's currently like on his
Scary.
back, scratching his back like dogs do, like rolling on the
Like-
ground.
Literally scratching up the floor because he's just like covered in spines and stuff.
Yeah, he has got extra scales and stuff. He's not very.
Yeah.
Destroying the floor paneling.
Rough day for
this
Ariel.
like for a moment it stops and then it looks up over you guys and it gets back on its all its hind legs and yawns.
Eyes Vortex. No more jumping on Aniel, okay?
Is Relina's Emporium of Gadgets and Goojits in the warded area or the non-warded area?
Yeah, it is.
Oriat district.
So it's in the warded area. Oh,
It's
okay.
in the inner city.
God dang it!
We have no
Sadly.
choice then to leave her then.
So, does this Relina's Emporium of Gadgets and Goojits have a catalog? Or are we gonna have to browse by hand?
We will find out when we get there.
We'll find out next week.
I mean, it's set up now, honestly, but so I mean, we could stop now, but I never Potato saying, "Hey, no, we can't."
Hey, why don't we get to the shop
If we
first?
leave the shop for next session, we're gonna spend another 3 hours in the shop browsing. Let's get it out so people can figure what they want over the break.
I'm not. No, and not happening.
Really?
I'm not gonna give you a catalog to browse how to spend your money in advance.
Oh, I'm gonna browse in person. Look, I'm going there. I'm Thorak walks.
So the thing, what I am referring is we could stop now.
Torque
Normally
walks.
we would stop now, but I remember Potato mentioning to me today that he could hang out for another hour tonight, and he's our limiting factor. But I see how tired he is, so it's kind of hard to make that call. So Potato, it's in your court, my man. Can you hold out for another hour or not?
I don't know. Do you have a catalog?
If I did, you would be like, let's stop now. So you could. It's everything in Alina's shop is made. All the items are existing already.
Yeah. Okay. Let's.
Are you sure? But what about the whole cool dynamic between the Warlock and Relina and there
Yes,
being
but
some
the
tension?
downside is if Roderick's here, you're not. You don't get to meet Relina because you'll be the start of the next session. I can't have both of you. I'm gonna
Unless
lose.
we
One
delay
of you
the
is not
start.
gonna be present for it.
No.
Wait, what?
I because I come in late because of my traveling to home. I wouldn't be there for when you guys went to see Relina. I think that's okay. I think it's more important that like people that have a rapport with her, and I'm pretty senile, so
I think your interactions with Elena would be fucking fantastic.
I'm letting Potato decide. Potato, go now or not? Do you want to waste 3 hours in the next session, or do you want to waste 1 hour
I want
now?
to waste them later. I want to go to bed.
Okay,
All right,
so
hold here.
Wake up.
then
Put on a little
then
makeup.
We will end the session here. Oh, Baldric doesn't get him at Relina.
Yo, what you do? We're gonna delay.
We're not leaving
we're
the
gonna-
city tomorrow. It's not like he's never gonna see her. He has a chance to go meet her.
Oh, he's gonna be busy at the Emporium, the other magic shop. Fuck this place is what he's gonna say. He's gonna go walk off.
As you NPC him away.
So,
Can I have gone to done some research at a library or something then, and I just not even be
yes,
there?
I'm not gonna make you. No, you're fine. All right. So anywho, with that, we will be closing tonight's session then because Potato's too weak. He said he could hold out, and can't. So,
Yeah, that was
right. So thank you for tuning into episode 40 of our very
We
unprofessional.
finally know
episode
everything. We finally know the whole story.
There's a
Yay!
recap episode.
Took the whole
Are we all
episode.
happy? Are we all happy with the recap?
Yes, Baldric finally can
It had
work
to
on
be
this
done.
metagame knowledge I've been just stewing
It
on.
had to be done.
Oh my god.
All right, before we tangent of the normal decompress, we will close the stream here. So thank you for watching. You can check us our other recorded broadcast episodes of all the stuff we were talking about in higher detail on youtube.com/Laris15. You can also check us out on Saturdays when we play Galewright Accord. I'm a player in that, so we'll be playing that tomorrow at 5 p.m. I think is when we start No, 4:30 p.m. PST is where we start that one. So, anywho, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for my players to hanging out and playing. And remember, everyone, don't trust the Dungeon Master.
Never, ever.
I do with my hand. Right? Don't trust the Dungeon Master.
Oh, but you have it. I did it with my right too, but you must have your camera inverted or something.
It's whatever the default is. It's my right
Your
hand.
old is
Yeah.
inverted.
Don't trust the Dungeon Master. Good night.
Good night,